مساء الخير يا صديقي، كيف حالك؟ كويس الحمد لله.
تمام الحمد لله. اي والله خرداشهم.
Hey,
تمام
what's the
تمام.
story?
And
We're live now. What's the
yeah,
crack,
just
lads? How are you all doing? I'll start with Prince. Prince, you came in. You're defrosted. I hope you're after coming in from south from the south, the kingdom as you call it. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good, but it's just cold, man. Cold, bro. Do you know what, though? To be honest, the breeze is nice, though. I don't mind the breeze. I know it's cold weather, but the breeze is nice. How you been, Dalbo? You okay?
He's gone.
We-
He's had
no,
enough.
he's coming
all
back. He's
good,
coming
mate,
back.
all
He's
good.
coming back.
He's walked away.
How are you, Jess? How are you, Manny? How you guys been?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
Disaster.
Good. Yeah, fell up with the cold weather. Bloody freezing here. And looking forward to Sunday when it warms back up again.
Wonderful.
We hope so. Manny, how are you, mate?
Yeah, all good, all good, all good. I mean, I'm, obviously 2 more games. The World Cup's over, and then it's back to the, you could say, back to life, back to reality, back to the Premiership, what have you. But it's coming thick and fast. But I have no complaints. Anytime I get to come on YouTube and talk shop with you and everyone else, makes me a happy chappy.
Cool.
No, not hearing too much of Dell. I think it's also the time of the year when sometimes our internet connections get frozen every now and then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
that's
the
what
weather.
happens sometimes.
Maybe the weather.
It's the weather, isn't it?
Tell you the internet there.
Jess and Manny, you guys are big
Can everyone
celebrities,
hear me
yeah?
okay?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah, hey now, man.
Yeah, all loud and clear, all loud and clear.
Nope.
Sometimes even my connection goes a bit wonky, but it is what it is. So, Fuad, what did you mean when you said that Jez and I are like celebrities now? What's the story with that?
Who said that?
It was you, I think.
It wasn't me, bro.
I heard you.
When?
Just a couple of minutes ago. It might have been someone else who said that. I don't know. It sounded like you, though.
No, it wasn't me, bro.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
You've always been celebrities.
Not always. Give another one.
You've always been celebrities. Are you looking forward to the final? I'm looking forward to this final. Then it's back to reality then. I can't wait to this one.
Absolutely.
I'm still going France to win.
Well, I mean, a lot of their players are dropping down like flies at the moment, so it'll be touch and go whether they'll even have a defence ready. It could very well be that Axel Disasi and William Saliba could play. It'll certainly delight us Arsenal fans, but I'm not too sure that's what Deschamps' strongest defence would be.
Apparently, there's flu going through the camp, isn't there? Is that right?
Oh, there is then. A flu. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
but I know there's a few French players may be out injured, didn't it?
No, I saw on Sky Sports earlier. There's apparently the France team have got a flu bug.
Yeah.
Oh, they was.
In fact, before the semi-final, I believe it was Rabiot and Upamecano who went down injured, and I mean not injured; they went down sick. Yeah. So it was Youssouf Fofana who ended up starting.
Yeah.
And a lot of complaints about the air conditioning over at the hotel, which is a bit of a
Hear me
surprise.
now, guys.
Loud and clear, mate. Loud and clear.
I think we've got a few technical issues here tonight.
Well, it's his internet's gone, is it, Jez?
Sorry?
We're still live, is it? Let's talk about. Are you guys looking forward to the West Ham game? We might as well start.
Yeah, loving it. Can't wait. Much as I have enjoyed this World Cup, I'm actually looking forward to getting back to normal football.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a great fan of international football. I think you guys know that. And I haven't really posted anything out for the last month. And as a result, subs have dropped, which I expect. And so I'm looking forward to getting back into the what I call real football, something I can actually relate with. I can't relate with international football. I've enjoyed this, but
yeah, I don't mind the World Cup.
I mean, I have enjoyed this. I won't lie, but I want to get back into what I really want to get into, and that's Premiership. So I'm looking forward to Boxing Day when we take on West Ham, and we'll see how we perform from there. But we have still got to do some business with Jesus out. In my belief, he'll be out for the rest of the season. And so we need to do some serious business in this window. And we can talk about that maybe another time. Maybe not tonight. But we're linked with a couple of players. Interesting. Will we do it? Don't know. Interesting that we've still got 3 of our squad players who haven't signed a new contract. That's interesting. So we'll see what happens.
You know, with the Jesus one, I was a bit shocked, Manny and Jez, because I seen him run off the pitch. Do you know, Jesus sprinted off the pitch. Then an hour later, you're like, Jesus is out for 3 months. You're like, what's going on? I thought it was a host, like a prank or something, because I seen him stop, and then you realize he's having an operation. You're like, I think the shock that was the shock to me. I thought he was. When I seen him run off the pitch, I couldn't believe it. Because when he got subbed, did you see how quick he came off the pitch? He didn't look injured.
Well, obviously, it's a bad injury. He's had to have
an operation.
I know. So, let's be fair. When you have a knee injury of that intensity, that's pretty much the fact you're out. You're done. Because even if he's out for a couple of months, he's then got to get a month back in training. So that's March, April, and pretty much the season's over by then, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
So we'll see what happens.
Could very well be that he didn't really understand how serious it was until he ended up going back into the changing room. Happened with my dad as well. Tore his cruciate ligament playing football back in medical school, and he carried on with the injury. It wasn't so painful, but for the pain to sort of kick in a bit later, which is sadly what happened, that just goes to show that, it really was a horrible injury. Knee injuries can be like that sometimes.
Well, young Gracie's done her MCL and on a leg, and she sent me some photographs. She sent me a photograph of the bruising the other Tuesday. Yep. I contacted her today to say, how's your leg? She sent me another photograph, and the bruising is probably 6 times worse. It looks horrible. Seriously, it's red, serious red, bruising. And I said to her, can they not do an operation? And she said, well, I don't want it because she's got an ambition in the next year to join something. And I said, well, it really doesn't look good. And if that's what footballers have to go through, then it's a serious recovery. Seriously, Yeah.
And go ahead, sir. Sorry about that.
It really is,
Yeah. So my advice to her, having seen my father go through that level of pain, would be that if you can get your surgery done, get it done immediately, because the longer you put it off, the worse it is going to get. It's as simple as that.
I agree with you. It's not for me to make a statement here because it's her decision, obviously, and I'm sure Gracie will join in the chat at some point tonight. But yeah, I mean, when I saw the photographs she sent me, I thought, oh my God, that don't look good.
Oh. You know, Manny, Jess, I like the WhatsApp group. I mean, no, the Instagram group.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like it. I like this brother here. You know, Jess. I like his. You know, like he does like one of the with the what's his name? You know, with Greg Doozy. I don't.
I invited it. I'll tell you what I do. When I set that up, I invited in certain people that I know that actually talk facts and don't talk crap. And one of the things that I know Fouls on yours, you had certain people always posting out their content.
Oh, done my head in, man.
And I actually said straight out day one, stop doing that. And there's one fella that has done it twice, and I said, you do it again, and you're out. Because I told you, this is not a stream, a chat group for posting out your content. We're here to talk about Arsenal and football. You're not here to promote your channel. So if you do it again, he's on his second strike. If he does it again, he's gone. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, it's not. It's about having a conversation. It's like the other day, me and Manny was going about Guendouzi. That's what it's about. It's about having a little banter. It's not about everyone. Oh, me. It's about. It's like, oh, you know, like I'm a different opinionated person, but I respect everyone's opinion. Like, you know, Jez, from day one, like we supported Arteta. No one can tell me nothing no more, innit?
Fair point.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say to that point that we are missing a.
You're muted.
You're muted, bro.
You're muted.
I'm back. I'm sorry.
Oh,
back
yeah, bro.
I want to first of all apologize to my guest. I'm so sorry. What I was doing was I was robbing my neighbour's internet during the week. Sorry about that. I'm only messing. I wasn't robbing anyone's internet. Don't worry about it. No, I fucking forgot to turn on the internet in my bar, and I was off my house internet, and it was shit. So I had to come back in and all shite like that. So apologies for everyone. I haven't done the stream in a few weeks, so sorry guys, and I'm really sorry about that. But look, I want to say thanks a million for the guests here, Mane, Jez, and Prince. Fair play to you for coming on, and sorry again. And everyone in the chat, everyone's slagging me. I love it. Keep it going, because I am a fucking idiot. Anyway, I'll get this started. All right.
No, disclaimer. Just one disclaimer. If any of you ever dare take it really personally, I'm going to come after you right now. Dell's a golden boy, wonderful bloke. Don't ever make it personal. You've got me in your corner, mate.
Yeah. See, do you know what Jez, I don't know about you or Floyd, I'm not sure, but I'd say something in some videos and people would get onto you privately or DM you or put something in the comments and go, here, mate, he didn't score 10 goals, he scored 15. Mate, I don't sit in me fucking ma's bedroom looking at people's stats. I only say shit off the cuff and the way I see it. You know what I mean? I'm sure Jez and Floyd, you'd say the exact same. You know what I mean? You get these haters.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah. I had one. I was on Lee's on Monday, and this guy, I won't mention his name, but he's on me all the time that. He said, you need to apologise. And I said, and I called him out in the chat. I said to Lee, can I, he said, yes, say what you got to say. And I said, why have I got to apologise? And he said, well, you've misled Gracie May down the wrong path about Arteta out. And I basically said to him, look, mate, Gracie May is a very, very intelligent young lady. and she makes up her own mind. She doesn't listen to me. Yeah, she is more intelligent than me. And I said, she's more bloody intelligent than you. So I don't apologise for anything. If I do something wrong, I'll apologise. But I've done nothing to guide Gracie May down a road because that's what her belief is. So why should I apologise? And this is what makes me laugh at these people. They get so wrapped in their heads that they're so narrow-minded. They have no intelligence. They have no function to make their own decisions. They believe that people like us can change the opinions of other people. Well, I'm sorry. No, that's not right. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You know,
Yeah.
we are adults that have our own opinions, and we don't always agree. Prince Ferdinand, we've had disagreements, but we respect each other. Yeah, I don't always agree with him, and I don't always agree with any other person, but we respect each other. We don't act like little children and cry about it. So that's the way it is.
But see, even on that, Jez, like, you know, the way that you have a great point there. Like, every one of us that support Arsenal, Man United, whatever team you support, everyone supports them in a different way. You know what I mean? Like I remember being in the pub and it was for the Champions League final, 2006. And I remember being in my local pub. There would have been about 5 or 6 other Arsenal supporters. The rest were Man United, Liverpool supporters. When that final whistle blew, I was nearly crying in front of everyone. But then I was looking at other Arsenal fans and they were there, yay, having the crack and stuff like that because we're pissed out of their head drunk. And I was just there going, do you support Arsenal? Or who the fuck do you support? Like, I'm fucking distraught here. We lost the Champions League fucking final. You know what I mean? Everyone supports Arsenal in a different way. That's my whole sort of point is. Like, I hate the way like these do-gooders and every sort of thing have to try and push their agenda and say, oh no, this is the way you support Arsenal. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's not. Everyone has a different way of supporting their team, you know, whatever else they're into, you know. But look, that's neither here nor there, and I'm not letting the do-gooders and the naysayers get involved with us today because we're going to talk about the greatest Arsenal team ever. And let's get stuck into it because I've been fucking things up here for a while. And as it says there, the real badge is in the corner, the real badge is behind Jez, and that's the badge we're going with. Can we all agree on that before we get started?
Absolutely.
Amen.
100%. Right, let's get going. Arsenal, the greatest team ever, and it's Arsenal FC. We are by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. Right, goalkeepers. Jez, I'll get you started off, okay? We'll hit one or two of the slides there. We'll go David Seaman, Jack Hesley, Pat, the great Jennings, Bob Wilson, Jim Ashcroft, John Lukic. Could be a surprise one. Swindon, George Swindon, Jens Lehmann, Jimmy Rimmer. And there's our few of the options we just have. Anything jump out with you there?
Well, quite funnily, I've just started doing a show about Arsenal's greatest players. And the first one I did was goalkeepers. And the first one I did was Bob Wilson. And I started off how he emerged from, he was basically an amateur player at Loughborough College. And then he was an amateur player at Wolverhampton Wanderers, where Arsenal actually bought him on amateur terms. And then he went on to greatness. So that's quite ironic, actually. So I put a poll out. Who is your greatest goalkeeper of 5 people? And I said Bob Wilson, Pat Jennings, John Lukic, David Seaman, Jens Lehmann. So it's a crazy one. Now the poll went obviously with David Seaman because England international goalkeeper, great performance in great teams for Arsenal. But you have to look back in time that I'm going to stick my head right out on the limb here. Okay. An unknown goalkeeper that came into Arsenal and won the greatest game of football I ever witnessed in my life. I'll never see it again, ever. John Lukic. 89 at Liverpool. His performance that night was exemplary. Yes, okay, we can say David Seaman had awesome, he achieved more, winning trophies, etc. Jens Lehmann, okay, he was undefeated in the fact of winning, the Invincibles. He was in the European Cup final. Unfortunately, got sent off. But sorry, I know it's going to be unpopular, but for me, what that goalkeeper that season achieved, John Lukic, under George Graham, was exemplary, and I'm going to stick him in there.
Mane, I'll go to you, mate. Are you in agreement? Are we having an argument? What's the story?
Well, sadly, Del, if there's anything like the terrific stream for the All-Ireland team that we did for Warren's channel, big up to him, we are going to have more than a few disagreements. You and I have had a few disagreements, and sadly, I'm going to have to stick my neck out and say I disagree with Mr. Collins. So I think, Lukic was a fine goalkeeper, and I remember asking a panel of yours, I believe Warren and Kenny were also there along with Jez. And I think you were all in agreement that while Lukic will always have a place in our hearts for 1989, in the end, it was a case of levelling up. And George Graham, regarded by many as Arsenal's greatest ever manager, said it himself. John Lukic might be one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the country, but David Seaman is the best, and that's why I've signed him. And it was, of course, under Graham that we won in 1989. And let's not forget, if it hadn't been for Michael Thomas, that goal, we still would have lost on goal difference. We needed to win by 2 goals. Thankfully, we did. Future Red Thomas, of course, breaking Liverpool's hearts during that Hillsborough season. But as soon as he came in, to win the First Division title in your first season at the club and put in the type of performances that he did, he performed in such a way that hardly anyone was talking about Lukic anymore. And the thing about Lukic is that he did show how good he was by going back to Leeds United and winning the First Division the season after we won in 1991. But Seaman continued to go from strength to strength. It was as if practically every season he'd win a trophy with us. And I take a look at him for his longevity and how he was still able to play at the top level, pushing 40. In his final season at Arsenal, when people thought that he was past it and really should retire, he produced arguably the best save I've ever seen. And I wasn't born when Gordon Banks made that save against Pele in Guadalajara, but I did see that on replays. But with the benefit of television, high definition or otherwise, when you take a look at how that save was made, yes, Pescasolido's header was a poor one, but to be able to crawl and literally use that bucket right hand of his to scoop that away on his 1,000th career game, no less, that was just magnificent. And of course, alongside Bob Wilson, he was able to win Arsenal's only other European trophy, which sadly is now defunct. And of course, the Fairs Cup is also, I wouldn't say defunct, but of course that ended up evolving, as it were, into the UEFA Cup or Europa League. I'm not too sure. But when you take a look at the longevity he had, the games he played, the performances he put in, even as he got much older, he was still able to prove why he was on top of his game. And I remember selecting Pat Jennings as our best All-Ireland goalkeeper, and certainly he had some good performances. But I think his better days were at Tottenham. Wilson, if I were to see the archives, I'm sure he would. I'd definitely be impressed by his ability. But Seaman was definitely one of the more old-school goalkeepers, definitely dominating on crosses. He very rarely, if ever, was beaten by the flight. He did flap on few occasions, but few and far between. And for me, it just has to be David Seaman. I mean, Lukic was a fine keeper. All the goalkeepers you've picked certainly have played their part in Arsenal's history. I'm glad you selected Swindon and Kelsey, who were legends in their time. Rimmer, as we will know, was also a part of the Aston Villa team that won the European Cup that time, but sadly he got injured and was replaced by Nigel Spink. I'm sorry, but I have to say the Seaman stands out above all the rest. Simple as that.
Okay. Floyd.
You mentioned all them keepers, and you forgot to mention our best keeper ever, Almunia.
Don't even think about it.
Even the chat didn't come up with that.
Now I gotta I'm in two frames of mind, but I used to like Lingman, but David Seaman for me is like I agree with what Manny says. Like it's true. David Seaman pulled off some mad saves for that save against Sheffield. When everyone thought it was in, and he just I don't know how he like, even the player was like, how the heck did he save that?
Yep.
So and David Seaman was like the one who passed it down to Almunia, not Almunia, Lehman, because even Lehman made off that. Remember that magnificent save against Old Trafford when even Oli Gosai thought he scored, and he got down to that pocket and he just tipped it, but he got that off David Seaman. So I'm gonna go with David Seaman. I gotta go with David Seaman, man. David Seaman pulled off some wicked saves. Even when he was 40, he was diving everywhere.
Yeah. Well, right, I suppose, right, what do I do now? Jesus Christ, I'll tell you, I have three in my head when I was picking these. I went for Jennings because, I had him in the All-Ireland team that I done. So I had to sort of put him in the mix, and deservedly so, but I suppose, as Mane said, he probably did have his best times at Spurs, give or take, but he had a few good games at Arsenal as well. I have to mention as well what Jez says, John Lukic, because for me, the 89 season, if you know me, I keep talking and banging on about that. It was a game changer for me, and that's how I supported Arsenal. It cemented it for me, anyway, watching that game. But, I have to go with David Seaman. You know what I mean? I just love the chap. I really do. He's a gentleman. He's, he carries himself well for the club these days as well. Look, I'll go Seaman. I'm going to put him down, and I hope no one gets upset, but this is why we love football. We'll skip forward then to the next few defenders. We're going. What formation do you want to do? Will we go 4-4-2?
Yeah, make it easy.
Yeah.
Classic 4-4-2 for me.
Right, let's go again. Mr. O'Leary, or otherwise known to some people, Mr. Arsenal. Another Mr. Arsenal by two. The legend Big T, Big Tony, Lee Dixon, Nigel Winterborn, Pat Rice, Peter Story, Pierce Simpson, Martin Keown, Flintoff, Kenny Sampson, Bob McNabb, Steve Ball, Sammy Nelson, Colo Torre, Terry Neal. There's a few in there. We'll go with, we'll start off, I suppose, centre halves. We'll go centre halves first. Jez, since you start, we'll go with Manny this time. Manny, do you want to start there?
The simple fact of the matter is, Del, when you talk about centre halves or centre backs, as we would say, we cannot start a discussion on Arsenal centre backs and their history without mentioning a certain Tony Adams. Not to be a name dropper, but I've had the pleasure of speaking to him twice. I know that a close mate of his lives all the way in Palm Beach in Florida. Shout out to Gary Walker, who runs the Palm Beach Soccer Academy. They just not too long ago had a partnership, entered into a partnership with Liverpool Football Club. So I had the chance to speak to him, and top quality fella. And he was that sort of a person who truly epitomized Arsenal in many ways. And I don't think there needs to be any discussion about him. And of course, you know, when he retired after winning that double, it was sort of the best way for it to end. And he has his place in history, of course, by winning league titles in 3 different decades, the 90s, I think it was the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s. He goes in just like Paul McGrath goes in the All-Ireland team. No discussion. And as for the other centre half, it's a tough one because I've noticed that you've actually left out a few really good defenders. There's no mention of a certain Solskjaer Jeremiah Campbell, who happens to be on punditry duty for this World Cup where I'm watching it now. And for me, you know, that guy, obviously, since he came in from Tottenham, he fitted into our side like a glove. And he was able to come back and perform absolutely brilliantly after an ill-advised sojourn with Notts County. He, of course, in between played for Portsmouth and won the FA Cup, so I'm surprised that you missed out on him. I guess maybe the number of appearances meant that he couldn't make the grade. But it would really have to be a discussion between the likes of David O'Leary, maybe McClintock, or someone like a Steve Bould or a Martin Keown. And having seen Martin Keown, I know how good a defender he was in terms of being an absolute rock at the back. But sometimes, you know, if you were a bit too fast for him, he'd be made to look a little bit clumsy. And Bould also definitely played his part in Arsenal's Cup Winners' Cup triumph and did really well under Arsene Wenger. Never got to see McClintock play, but I'm sure Jez might remember how good a defender he was. But when you take a look at someone like David O'Leary, the original Mr. Arsenal, if you will, the longevity itself is what does it for me. The class he exuded on the ball is what does it for me. And the best part is that with Adams being so good in the air, you want to have a complementary centre half who would really be good on the ground. The original Rolls Royce of defenders, if you will, and I'm sure Jez will agree with me. So for me, it's got to be Adams and O'Leary.
Very good. Prince, any different or?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna go with Adams and Martin Keown. I like Martin Keown. Both strong in the air. Ref. And then you have to call that offside. And then you have to call the offside. And yeah, Adams and Keown for me.
Fair enough. Yeah. Jez, I'm dying to know what you are. That's why I left you last. I'm dying to know.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're all good shouts, aren't they? Let's be honest. Without a shadow, Tony Adams. Tony Adams to me is Mr. Arsenal. I have to say.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to say that. And David O'Leary, incredible player. But I'm going to throw in the mix there a certain Jules Graham.
Ooh.
He was an incredible player. And we've also missed out a certain Ashley Cole.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about this sort of the left and the right back now in a few minutes. Like, you know.
All right, okay, we're staying centre back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Tony Adams, we've got Sol Campbell, we've got, you know, I mean, how can you choose? I'm going to have to go with two of the most iconic players I've ever seen. This is a tough call. Tony Adams, David O'Leary. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yep.
Now, oh God, what do I say? Adams for me, 100%. It's concrete now. Forget about it. No one else. So we're just talking about the next centre half, and like you, Prince, like Keown, you know, up there. Jesus, like, you know, Oh, this is a tough one. O'Leary, like, do I have to say O'Leary because I'm Irish? Do people say you fucking Irish bollocks? You didn't pick O'Leary. you know what I mean? But I love the chap. I do love O'Leary. You know, most cap player for Arsenal. Absolutely gentleman. For me, he should be the chairman of Arsenal, 100%. I don't think there's anyone else that would fit the role better than David O'Leary in my eyes. And I like, Manny, you were saying that I left out Campbell and stuff like that. I think Campbell was a game changer for Arsenal. He really did. Like, you know, someone had to step in when Adams left, and Campbell stepped in. He stepped in 110%, and he deserves an absolute mention, all right. But I suppose, look, yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Manny and Jez. I have to say O'Leary. He didn't get the most caps for Arsenal for nothing. You know what I mean? He was rock solid. He was the one who sort of breaded in Tony Adams as well, if I'm not right. You know, and told him, this is how we play as Arsenal. You don't fucking lose. It's as simple as that. You know, and that's how Tony Adams, like, you know, not just because of David O'Leary, but it's certainly helped him along the way to be who Tony Adams was. So yeah, I'm happy with David O'Leary, 100%. Prince Foyle, we'll go left back. We'll go left back. We've I know top of my head, like as Jez says there, Ashley Cole. He was on the left. Was Dixon? He was the left, wasn't he? He was on the left, wasn't he?
No, Dixon was on the right. Winterburn was on the left.
Winterburn was on the left. Yeah, sorry. Anyone else sort of jump out with you there, Prince?
What, left back?
Yeah.
Kevin Sampson, man.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kevin Sampson.
Very true.
It's hard. We're left back. You know, Ashley Cole's one of the best ones we've had, isn't he? Do you know what? Because he left us for Chelsea. It kills me to say it, but yeah, I think Ashley Cole's one of our best centre backs ever, man.
Yeah, you're going for Cole, eh? I'm just writing all your things down. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go Ashley Cole, man.
Yeah, no problem. Jez, go to you.
Well, we talk left wing.
Left, yeah.
Left back.
Left back, yeah.
Left back, okay. I'm going to throw one in the mix here. One of the greatest players that could switch in defence, Bob McNabb.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of people in the chat would never, ever have seen him play. Really never heard of him. He was one of the greatest stalwarts at Arsenal's defence. Bob McNabb, and failing that, I will go with Ashley Cole, but Bob McNabb, I tell you what, mate, that guy, you didn't want to tackle him. I'm talking back in the 70s when football was a lot more harsh, when you had the likes of Billy Bremner, Peter Lorimer, and all those sort of ilk players, that they would go in for crunch tackles, and players today wouldn't survive it. Let's be fair. Yeah, so I'm going to throw it in a mix, but to keep it modern, I'm going Ashley Cole.
Ashley Cole. Okay, I'll write that in for you. Manny.
Yeah, I was actually hoping that Jez wouldn't have picked Ashley Cole, because it means that we'd be, because now it means that we're saved from you being the tiebreaker for once. But for me, of course, now that there's four of us, I don't know if there could be a tiebreaker, but I know how good Ashley was, and obviously he went on to earn over 100 caps for England. I guess the big issue that I have with him is that, you know, as talented as he was, he also started near the end of his time at Arsenal to believe his own hype a little bit. And that probably might have reflected in his attitude in a way. And I think we all remember how he left the club under an absolute cloud. And yes, he certainly was good for us. But I think we also have to put into perspective, Brilliant shout there with Bob McNabb, by the way, sir. I'm just taking a look at him right now on Wikipedia. He definitely was an important player for Arsenal. Double winner, Fairs Cup winner, and certainly at that particular time in those 9 years, he left his mark. About 300 appearances or more, I would say, 365 in fact. But I think it's whenever we talk about Ashley Cole, it's also very easy to ignore just what a classy defender Nigel Winterburn was. Very unfortunate not to win too many caps for England because of a certain Stuart Pearce. But, we called him Nutty and out of affection. He knew how to put in an amazing tackle. He certainly had a fine left foot about him. He also contributed in his way to Arsenal going forward and scored some good goals himself. I'm sure we can't forget that one against Wimbledon. And then I think Jez might have better memories than me of a certain Kenny Sansom, who also was an England star. I guess the fact that Winterburn was a lot more involved in the highs of Arsenal during the turn of the 90s and the role he played in several of our triumphs and how underrated he was, I'd have to go with him because, he also was one person who truly bled Arsenal a great deal. And Arsene Wenger made it clear that he didn't want Winterburn to leave, but he had to leave because Cole and Silvino and others were ahead of him. But every time he'd come back with West Ham, he'd receive nothing less than an ovation. Every time you see him play, you could see what he puts into the game. And I only wish I could have seen more of Kenny Sansom, but sadly, if I had to go between Nigel Winterburn and Ashley Cole, it's Nutty all the way. Nigel Winterburn.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think myself, I was only thinking during the week, I says, will this be controversial if I pick Ashley Cole? Because, the way he left Arsenal and stuff like that. But, look, we have to go by football and reasons. He was up there. He was world class. He went on to win a lot of stuff at Chelsea. Unfortunately, it wasn't with us. But, yeah, look, we have to slot him in, I think, there at left back 100%. I agree with you guys. And then on right back, Jez, would you be going Winterburn, or what are you thinking right back? Anyone spring to mind?
Kenny Sansom.
Oh,
he played at left back though, didn't he?
Right back.
Yeah. Are you positive with that? Is that he's hands down your centre back? Or your right back?
Kenny Sansom played at right back. He could switch.
Yeah. Yeah. Manny, are you going Winterburn?
Nope. You cannot, just as I believe you cannot have a right-footed left back, you certainly cannot have a left-footed right back. Lee Dixon, no argument.
Oh. Lee Dixon. Right, okay. Prince, give me someone.
You know what? Everyone talks about the Lee Dixons, me, I used to like the Lee Dixons, the Winterburns, but bro, one thing we're all forgetting, I used to rate Lauren.
Very good.
Lauren come in at a time when Man United were conquering football, and these guys had the cojones to go there and win in their own backyard. So, Lauren for me was like an unspoken hero because when Lauren was out, we knew about it. When Lauren was out, we knew about it. And Jez will tell you them games when you had Gilberto in and Lauren in, especially Lauren in our back four, you knew there was a big difference. And Arsenal, you couldn't break them down. They used to bully teams, But then I used to like Bakary Sagna too, but but Lee Dixon too is a hard one because Lee Dixon was wicked too for Arsenal. But I did like Lauren, but Lee Dixon did set that platform for him to step up to that level, didn't it? So yeah, I do love Lauren, but Lee Dixon was something else. So I'm gonna stick with Manny, Lee Dixon, because he's the one who set the platform. But I can't take that away from Lauren though.
Yeah. No, I come here. That's a great shout, to be honest with you, Prince. Because I actually didn't sort of think of him, but at the time, he was a great player, absolutely solid, and real solid the way he getting into tackles, no bother. He just got the tackle, got up, got back into position, and like what I love about a defender, they get in, get stuck in, get their tackle in, get back up, and just get in position. There's no look at me, I'm great or whatever, But yeah, I think in saying all that, the back four of Dixon, Winterborn, Adams, Keown, that was solid. You know what I mean? That was so solid. So I think I'm going to throw in Dixon with that. And that's nothing to take away from what Jez says about Samson, because I didn't see enough of him. You know what I mean? And that's probably why I'm picking Dixon. I've seen a lot of him play.
He's our most capped international player, wasn't he?
Is he? Yeah.
Mm.
There
Most
you go.
International player for Arsenal.
Wow. Jeez, I never knew that. Fair play, Jez. Didn't know that. Did not know that.
You're talking about Kenny Sansom, aren't you?
Yeah.
Kenny Sansom, yeah.
Yeah. Right. I think there's going to be a few agreements, disagreements, and everything with this. the midfield position. Jez, I think it's Manny, sorry, it's your goal. We'll start off the midfields.
Give me 1
Armstrong.
minute, I'll be back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
take
problem.
your
Yeah. Armstrong, David Jack, Liam, just Liam Brady.
Yeah,
I'll say that, right? You all know I have
Chippy.
a
Brady.
yeah, legend. Liam Chippy Brady, Derek Tapscott, Graham Ricks, love the hair, Graham. Paul Davis, Vieira.
Oh,
Vieira.
you already know, bro.
Yeah. Perez, Overmars, Talbot, Baker, Martin Hayes, Jimmy Lodgy, Freddie, John Samuels, Sesk, Rocky, Alex James, David Price. Right, Jesus, we've a lot to go through here, lads. I'll tell you, and there's a few there that have not been mentioned. These are just sort of to remind people, sometimes you forget a player here and there and stuff like that. But yeah, look, Manny, we'll let you start off, mate. Anything there jump out with you, or we'll go centre midfield? We're going 4-4-2, so we'll drop it right into the centre. Who's your two centre midfielders?
I've already got my one right now. He came from Senegal to play for the Arsenal. Number 4, Patrick Vieira. Yeah, no doubt about him, because here's the thing. Obviously, when it comes to the central midfield position, you've actually done a brilliant job there, Dale, of picking a great deal many midfielders who were certainly tough as nails in their day, and there are so many names which jump out at me right now, and it's almost unfair, really, that I was born a lot later than Jez. I'm probably about the same age as you, and maybe the same age as Fuad. I'm not too sure, but I never had the pleasure of watching many of these legends, and I can only look at archives to just see how good they absolutely were. And I also have to do some research right now on Wikipedia to find out if find out more about these players. I mean, stats can tell half of the story, but it doesn't really say everything. But again, Vieira gets in. As far as the other central midfielder is concerned, it's a tough one, really, because we take a look at someone like Dennis Bergkamp, for instance. I'm tempted to actually put him somewhere in the center, because normally, if you have a number 10, it would sort of if I can't play him as an out-and-out striker, because I want to have two proper strikers in my 11 for Arsenal, I'm actually tempted to sort of have Dennis Bergkamp playing as more of the right central midfielder. He'd sort of have that contrast in style with Patrick Vieira's more doggedness, if you will. The only problem is, and let's not forget that when it came to physicality, despite being probably slight, Bergkamp knew how to wind his way through defenses. He was certainly the creative spark. And so if you have a situation where you put him up front with another number 9, if you will, you don't really. I'm not too sure that you could necessarily get the best out of Bergkamp's all-round play. So I'm tempted to put Dennis Bergkamp in there, but since Bergkamp isn't classified as a midfield, I don't know if I can necessarily do that. I'm taking a look at some of the names which have come out right now. In fact, I'm taking a look at Armstrong. He was actually more of a winger, so he could be an option down the wing, and maybe Jez can talk about him a little bit more. Again, and I don't want to make my selection a little bit too modern. I'm thinking of Paul Davis as well, who was a big part of our success in the late 80s and early 90s, what he could possibly lend. And that is a tough one. Look, if you could just just run through that list of midfielders again, maybe there'll be something that that'll snap out at me.
Because I've already got, of course.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So Armstrong is there, more of a because I want to have Liam Brady on the left wing. Someone like a Graham Rix could be okay.
Jez, can you remember Talbot? What was he? Centre mid? Was he?
No, he used to play more out on the left, but he was when I ever watched him play, he was like a bit of a roaming figure. He I don't know. He used to sort of roam in the midfield. He was a wanderer. Bit like when back in time when the defence used to have a sweeper. I mean, when he played in the first time he really dominated was in the 79 World Cup FA Cup against Man U. He was like playing a role behind the strikers. Yeah, it was like you couldn't really pin him into a particular position.
Like it wasn't like the way sort of you'd have Henry up front and sort of Bergkamp would sit behind Henry a bit. No,
he was like a roaming figure. He was like how can I put it? You'd have Sunderland, Alan Sunderland, Graham Rix, and you'd have Brian Talbot, and they were like pivoting, if that's the right term. I'm not sure, but they were like mixing it in and out of there. I mean, Brian Talbot, when we got him from Ipswich, he was a phenomenal effect at Arsenal Football Club. Let's get it right, and he made a massive difference in that midfield. That is absolutely certain.
I've already made my I've already made my midfield, bro. I've already made my mind up.
Like go with your centres, your two centres. Then who you got? Well, sorry, Manny, who are you saying? You're saying sorry, Vieira.
I was saying Vieira, but I'm still stuck on trying to pick another one. And
have a think. We'll go to Prince, but he knows what the story is. He's a bit. He knows it all. We were all Arteta's out. What do we know?
Nah, you know me, bro. I've already made that my full midfield. I would have gone with obviously Vieira,
right.
Paul
Now,
Davis.
Pick your centres. We'll come to your left and your right. So pick your centres.
Oh, my centre. I would have gone with Vieira and Paul Davis.
Oh,
good shout.
Okay.
Good shout.
Yeah.
What they were just, if you've got like Donald Trump would say the wall in Mexico, that's what they are. The wall in Mexico.
Yeah, the ironic thing was that he never got around to finishing that, and there were some holes in that. Fat lot of good he did. So I did mention Paul Davis as well as
Paul Davis is quality, man.
Yeah, I think I'll probably go with Paul Davis because some of the other options were sort of more suited to playing on the wing. I wanted to find someone who could, who made his name in the middle. I guess I'll have to go with Paul Davis, maybe.
Wow.
A shout there. Fabregas, not too keen on that. And Rocky was more of a winger, not a...
Yeah, Rocky's a winger. 100% I agree with you. Rocky was a winger.
Right, let's come to Jez now. So you're saying Davis as well, yeah?
Yep, Davis as well.
Okay, Vieira Davis. Jez, who's your two centres?
Vieira and Brady.
Ooh, Brady, you're putting them in the centre, are you?
Yep. He used to play the centre out left. When Arsenal played a 4-3, 4-3, he used to play in the centre left.
Okay.
And scored some absolutely brilliant goals from that position because he'd cut in from the left, cut round and swing it straight out from the left-hand side.
No, because I do agree with you. He played for Ireland, a few of them, like, you know, in that sort of role, the left centre midfield role. And I think what you were trying to say with Talbot, he sort of had for the Irish team the sort of right push to up forward, if you know what I mean. This, like, you know, and cut in that role. Like he actually had the Talbot role for the Irish team the odd times. Yeah, no, that's a great shout. Like, you know, that's your team. And my team, I'm going to go in the midfield. Obviously, Vieira, captain, fantastic there for the Invincibles. Vieira. Fabregas, I could say Gilberto Silva is another one. Petit Vieira were fucking.
How could I forget Petit?
Yeah, I know.
Jesus Christ.
I know. You know, for my team, yeah, Oh man, I like Fabregas. Like, you know, Fabregas for me.
Is it too late to change it from Davis to Petit?
No, look, we can change it for you if you want.
Yeah, because I mean, how could I forget Petit? Double winner with Arsenal in '98, World Cup winner in '98, very central to our success.
Yeah,
it's got to be him. I'm going with him.
Like, the thing about I want to say about Fabregas as well, and give him his dues. Like, you know, I know he went to Chelsea, and we had we won't even talk about it now, but whatever. We could have signed him back. I remember having a feeling one day, the day that we were in the Champions League. Remember that? We played Milan, and he scored, I think, the winning goal where we went through. We were wearing the white jersey with the sort of the wine sort of stripes and all this shit in it. And I remember he scored that goal, and it went bottom left or something like that, real low, and it was just. And I remember I was in my mom's house, and I nearly jumped out the front window, and I swear to God, I nearly did. I just couldn't believe it. I just went, where the fuck, Holland? He's only 19 or something at the time, and he hits it, and it just goes bottom left, and it's in, and we're fucking going through. I'm just like, what the fuck? What do I do? You know what I mean? It was just amazing. Now, and that's one thing I loved about Fabregas. But Vieira, Petit, for me, in the 98 season, were fucking phenomenal, man. They were just unbelievable together. You know, and I think, and I may be wrong, and there will be people in the comments that say, Dale, you're bleeding mad. But I think Vieira and Petit complemented each other so good. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
if I'm having Vieira in my midfield, I want Petit to be with him, because I think the two of them will be just unbelievable. And that's just my team. We all have our own different opinions.
Yeah, they work magic. They work magic together, and let's not forget, in that final, it was Vieira's pass to Petit that pretty much applied the finishing touch to that World Cup win. So
that's right.
You can't have one without the other. Thank you very much indeed for mentioning him.
Yeah, no, 100%. We'll go. We'll hit the left wing. Jez threw a spanner in the works, and I'm going to come back to you because I thought Liam Brady was your left winger. So I'll go to Prince. I'll go for you for your left winger. You said you have your whole midfield sewn up. You're done and dusted. Who's your left winger?
On the left, on the left, I would have put. The right, I would have definitely put David Rocastle. This kid was
right. We go right. We go right. You're going Rocky.
On the right. On the left, I would have put Freddie Ljungberg, man. I used to love Freddie. Freddie was one of my favorite players.
Good shout.
Yeah, Freddie. I used to love him. And you know, every time we played Man United and Freddie Ljungberg was available, I used to put my feet up with my hot chocolate and cookies, knowing Freddie's going to score past them.
Oh, yes.
Freddie, man, I used to love Freddie. He used to love Peter Schmeichel like it wasn't tomorrow. He used to terrorize him. So Freddie for me, yeah, because he broke that curse of like us with the big teams. Like for years we were scared of him, and he just come along. Yeah, I gotta go for Freddie. I used to love Freddie Youngberg, man. I love Freddie, man.
Yeah.
Freddie and Dave Rocastle's my wingers.
Mane.
Definitely Rocky on the right.
Yeah, Rocky
Not
was
really,
something.
not really Ljungberg that much, I guess. I mean, obviously he did score more than a few screamers, but I also realised another terrific name which I absolutely forgot, and I'm kicking myself right now, is Ray Parlour, a terrific midfielder. Romford boy, of course. They called him the Romford Pele. But again, you know, and obviously that goal in the 2002 FA Cup final was sublime. But no, we've already gone with Vieira and Petit because, again, you can't have one without the other. But for my left winger, some really good shouts here because I'm just taking a look at Wikipedia. I take a look at the likes of Graham Rix and George Armstrong. Rix actually played out on the left wing, as did Armstrong. And I know that, Jez, you wanted to put Liam Brady as the other central midfielder, but basically, as we agreed, Dell, in our All-Ireland stream, Chippy Brady had to come out on the left wing because I guess that would be a position where he would also really be able to bomb down well and fire in those crosses. Also, certainly use his left foot to a good advantage in many ways. And I'm certain that he would have done that, and that's why he outshines people like Armstrong and Rix, because Brady, as a footballer, absolutely sublime. He should have won more silverware with us, but he went on to make a name for himself in Italy. What more can you ask for? I'm going with Chippy once again.
Chippy,
so,
yeah.
Rocky and Chippy, a nice duo right there.
Oh, Jesus, you're killing me here, man. I thought I had me midfield. I was just there. I'm sewn up. I have the whole left midfield. I'm talking bench now. I don't even need to fucking finish my team off. I know, but you're after throwing a spanner in the works. I'll have to be thinking here as Jez is talking. Jez, I'm dying to know who's your left midfielder. And I'm leaving him up because you says you're putting him left in the left centre midfield.
Left wing, Overmars all day.
Right, that's a good shout. Overmars was quality too, man.
Oh, yes. All day.
One of the best left wingers I've ever seen play at Highbury. His magical pace, his way to he actually could kick inside, slip it through with that little right foot, when he fed Omri, it was magical times. And yeah, I could go back in time and mention a few players that I could put in there, but most people wouldn't even have heard of them. So I'm going with Overmars.
Jez.
So it's a three-way tie.
Don't take this personal. I always say this, you bastard, you. Fuck you. Oh, Jesus Christ. I thought I had me whole midfield, and I love Overmars.
All right, I'll change it. I could go with Anders Limpar.
Oh, yeah.
Limpar was good.
About him. Yes.
Limpar was good.
Jesus.
He was whip it quick down the left wing.
Yes.
But no, I'm staying with Overmars.
I thought I was being smart with the I suppose because I have my team, I'm picking Liam Brady, right? Just because he's Liam Brady, and we all know how good he is and stuff like that. That's who I wanted on the left wing. But an honorary mention was Overmars for me, because I remember the day he signed for Arsenal, and it was time there was no internet and all this shite, and and I remember it was teletext and stuff like this, and I think my mum or my dad says, "Come here, did you hear that Overmars has signed for Arsenal?" And I went, "Dad, you're joking me. Don't say that, you're joking. You are joking with me." And he goes, No, seriously, I swear to God. I remember, "Can you give me £1, please?" He gave me £1. I ran up to the shops. My local shop, ran up to get a newspaper. I had to see it in black and fake news or whatever. But you know what I mean? I had to see him holding the Arsenal jersey. And he was one of the players that I just go, I cannot believe. That night, I remember going to bed And I woke up in the morning thinking it was all just a dream. And next thing, no, we really signed them. You know, that's how good Overmars was for me. You know, but I have to sort of stick. No, I have to stick with Liam Brady as well. Like, you know, like he's up there for me. I think Liam Brady has to get on an Arsenal team. You know, you have to make room for him. That's my opinion. You know, so I'm gonna go Liam Brady on the left. On the right, you're saying Rocky, Manny. You saying Rocky, Foyd. You're saying Rocky. Who's your right midfielder, Jez?
Oh, right side. That's an interesting one.
While you're thinking, I can throw one in there if you're thinking away. I can just.
Right.
1992, Jez. Remember that spectacular against Peter Schmeichel? Rocky.
Yes.
I'll have to go here with I'm thinking of one player. I'm thinking of I'm gonna have to go with I have to go with old Lundberg on that one.
Yeah. For me, Freddie was just unreal. Like, what a player. I remember at the time when he had the red stripe and all, I had the red stripe down my hair, got that done. Even on me dog, I got it
You want me
done.
to throw one right in the mix?
Go for it.
Cliff Baston.
Oh, Jesus, Jez.
90th highest goal scorer for Arsenal until Ian Wright beat his record. He played right wing forward. He was a wing forward.
Yeah, you've changed my mind, Jez. For me,
let's get back to reality because none of us ever saw him play. So.
No. But Jez, you have to give it to him. I remember, like, not that I basically went through the Arsenal History Museum, and I read everything about it. And even Zach did. I read it out for Zach, like, you know, how good he was. And I'm going to put him in my team because he deserves to be on it. He was such a player for Arsenal back in the day. And it's not just because he's old. Like, you know, it was back in the day. For me, Baston's in my team. He's my right winger.
He's a right wing forward, as they used to call them back in time, under Herbert Chapman's team and Allison's, and he was Arsenal's highest goal scorer until Ian Wright beat the record. So I'm going to throw it in there. I'm going to throw it right in the mix. People are going to laugh at me and say you're stupid, but Cliff Baston.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Jez. I'm going Cliff Baston as well. You know, because as I said, just reading his stats and everything like that in the Arsenal History Museum, he was just a player for his time that he was in. He was decades ahead of everyone else, the way that he played football. You know, there wasn't too many clips of him, but, you know, I think it's an honour to actually mention him in this team, and I'm going to put him on my team as well, 100%.
Right, so that's 2 for Baston and 2 for Rocky. We don't have a tiebreaker. Maybe you could throw a poll out there to see who the folk would have, or else if we have to settle this, then I guess I'm going to have to go with Baston as well. And of course, Baston went on to be replaced by a certain Ted Drake, who wasn't too shabby either.
Well, if anyone wants to drop in the comments, we'll pick the 4, say 3 or 4 comments. Who you think? We'll leave that sort of there open. But sorry, 1 second. Just reading, Paul, some great outs for our 1930s player, Jez Ted Drake. Yeah, scored 7 at the Villa. Still a league away record. Jesus, that's unbelievable. 7. My God. No, yeah, and do you know what? Exactly, Perez. Does anyone want to think about Perez?
Yeah.
Anyone want to talk about him?
Class.
It's hard when you got superstars like that. It's hard to pick up. You get me? It's hard, man. It's hard, man. That's why you just got to pick them and just stick with your guns.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, and come here. Look, Ali, this isn't like it's hard. This is wrecking me head here, like because you're just there. You think you have your team sorted. Like I basically provisionally had my team sorted. I'm nearly after changing the whole lot by just talking to the guys here. You know, it's so hard. Because like I agree with you 100%. Perez was actually on my team as well. What a player! Like what a fucking player we had in Perez. It was such a shame in the Champions League final that he had to come off. Because if he had stayed on, we win that.
100%.
We win 100%. He was fucking unreal. Phenomenal player. You know, we'll go to the forwards. Now, unfortunately,
so, Del, I was just going to say, the fact that Perez had to be taken off is another reason why I didn't want to pick Jens Lehmann. We didn't call him Mad Jens for nothing, you know.
Exactly, yeah, 100%. Now, I think this is going to be easy, but look, let's go with them. Ted Drake, there's Cliff. I suppose he can play up front, obviously. Jack Lambert, Rig Lewis, Thierry, John Radford, Ian Wright, Charlie George. Anyone talking about him? Joe Baker, Dennis, Alan Smith, Frank Stapleton, Ollie Giroud running amok in the World Cup, Paul Merson, midfielder, you could say, yeah. Alexis Sanchez. No, fuck off.
Nah, yo, come on, bro. Robin was the man.
No, hold on. Sunderland, Brian, and we'll come back to that. So, Jez, your first striker. I think I'm going to go to him here first of all. I think this is who you're going to pick. But however, let's go.
Exceptional footballer. Except we're talking about out and out strikers now, aren't we?
Yeah, or you could, whatever you're the manager. If you wanted to park them behind an out and out striker, if you wanted them to sort of, have a 4-4-1-1.
Can we just quantify the rules here? Are we talking about the highest scoring players we've ever had? Or
no, it's whatever you think is the team that will win the Champions League. If you it does, it's not about scores or high scores. Whatever you think will get an assist to lead to a goal, that whatever.
Okay. This is a tough one. Dennis Bergkamp was an outstandingly brilliant footballer. Goal scorer, great. But we're looking at our forward line, the players that scored the most amount of goals for Arsenal Football Club. And if you look at the records of certain strikers in their term of playing, then it has to be 1, Thierry Henry, and you have to go with a player that probably a lot of people here in the chat have never heard of, Ted Drake.
I've heard of him. Fun fact, Chelsea owe their history to him because he managed them to their first ever First Division title. They'd be nothing without the Arsenal.
I mean, everybody's going to say, yeah, but Bergkamp was an awesome player. Yes, exceptional. But he wasn't a high goal scorer at Arsenal. He was a great assist. He was an amazing player. But if we're looking at top class forwards that scored goals, then you have to look at Thierry Henry, you have to look at Ted Drake, and you have to look at Cliff Baston. Now, Cliff Baston and Ted Drake were long before we ever saw football. Fortunately, I was lucky enough, my granddad, who did see them play, and told me about these iconic players. And I'm going to go with Ted Drake because he was one of Arsenal's most prolific, highest goal scorers, and as a striker, not a midfielder like Cliff Baston. So I'm going that road.
See, Jez, see the way you were sort of saying on, like, you know, because of back in the day and stuff like that. Just look at the picture there in the background. How many is in Highbury there? Like, you look around the stands there. Like, he was a hero, a god to people. Like, this is what we're talking about. Like, Cliff Baston, this is what I'm talking about. This is why he was in my team. Because just because we weren't alive to see these guys play, but they are an honorary mention. They have to be mentioned. And for what they done, and like, I've gone around to the Arsenal Museum. I brought my son around. We've been there twice, me and him, to actually go. And I think it's so important. If you love something like we love Arsenal, and he loves Arsenal, my son, you show him the history because it's important. Because without the history, Arsenal Football Club are fucking nothing. They're nothing.
That picture is iconic because that picture, that stand behind you is the East Stand. That picture down there, where the chimney is, yeah, that's the clock end as it was. And at that time, in around about 34, 35, maybe 36, Highbury, the capacity of Highbury was around, well, it was never, ever really known. There's probably about 50,000 there because the lower east and the upper east were all standing. It's all terracing. And you look at the corner there of where the clock end is, right? And you can see a little bit of the clock end where the chimney is. Yeah. That's how compacted Arsenal was back in those days. Mad, really, when you think about it.
Yeah. It was madness. Like, you just think about that. Like, how many people were there? Like, you know, it's phenomenal. And that's why, like, these players, and just like what Paul is saying here, Drake had 8 at Villa. But his claim, the ref said the ball didn't cross the line at the 8th attempt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these look, fair enough. Can you imagine these players if they were fit, if they had the nutritionists, all these sort of stuff that they have today, how good they would be, you know? But look, big shout out. That's a great call. So, Jez, you're going for Henry and Drake. It sounds like a rap, Henry and Drake. But Prince, I'll go to you next, mate. Who are you looking at? Anyone there that jumps out for you?
Obviously, you know I'm going to pick Thierry. There's not even a thing, not even a question, because Thierry was something else. And I can see where Jess is coming from that you want a striker. But with me, see, I just look at Dennis Bergkamp. And you need that, like, if you're going to say, like, you're saying to me, if you're going to win the Champions League, you need aggression, you need class, and you need the finisher, and you need skill. But Charlie George was another one I used to like, because Charlie George, even though I wasn't on my era, but when you watch how good he was in the 70s and like late 80s, early 80s, the guy was like something else. He was phenomenal too. But Dennis Bergkamp, because I've seen him play and he's our era too at the same time, and I'd have to go for it. I know I can't think of it. It's sad, but like Jess said, that Ted Drake, he was like, he's a historic and Arsenal footballer. You know, when you go, you know, when people, the first person when they talk about Highbury, and if you watch any documentary about Arsenal, he's the first player everyone mentions, like Ted Baker, because he was one of the first superstars of Arsenal. And like, so, but I don't know, it's hard, but it's hard. Strikers are hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know? But Arsenal strikers though, to be honest with you, like a lot of strikers get a reputation in Arsenal that they didn't even that good. Like Paul Merson was a good player, Van Persie were good players. Like they were good players. Even Ian Wright was a good player. Like the way people rate Ian Wright, he was a goal scorer, but he wasn't anything excited for me. I never used to be excited by him. But
Well, do you know what? I'll tell you. Like I used to be very excited by Ian Wright because like when he was playing,
I was more excited when I was more excited when Alka.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Because and Alka just jumped on the scene and blew up. Like Henry did. That's excitement to me. This guy was this, I don't know, it's just the fans used to like. He was a fan's favourite, innit? But I'm going off football talent. But my I gotta go with Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp.
I'm writing it in. It's going in. You're cementing it.
Charlie George, I used to love Charlie George. I used to watch so many about. He was class, man. The guy had a flair too. There was something about him. But then again, so was what's his name? And was Charlie Nicholas was good too in the Jazz.
Yeah, oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good player.
Was he a striker? Was he Jez or what was he?
Yeah,
Was he a striker? Yeah, he was a striker. Charlie Nicholas was another one. He was a swagger boy who come and he signed for Arsenal. Everyone was shocked, like this. So
he scored 2 goals against Liverpool in the League Cup.
I was about to mention that. I remember that.
Yeah, put me down, Dennis Bergkamp and Henry, man.
Right, you're done. You're in. Your team is selected. Okay, right, Manny.
It's a good shout.
But and here's the thing. Obviously, I do see where Mr. Collins is coming from, and you take a look at Mr. Drake's record. It was phenomenal, no doubt about it. The thing is, though, what you want in the striker partnership, Del, as well, is that you want contrast, just like you want your centre halves to have contrasting qualities. That's why we picked Adams and O'Leary. And so with Henry being more of the prolific goal scorer, I'm not too sure that having 2 very prolific goal scorers at the same time would necessarily be a good idea. The reason why Bergkamp was given the number 10 jersey was because he was terrific as a playmaker. And I remember saying that I wanted him to be in the midfield as well, so that his qualities would, be fully exhibited. And I suppose in modern day football, he'd sort of play just behind the number 9, sort of in between the defense. But again, when I take a look at the skill he brought and how he complemented Henry perfectly, if you were to ask Thierry Henry who his favourite striking partner was, he'd say Dennis Bergkamp any day of the week and twice on a Sunday. Because he'd make the plays, he'd also make sure that everything would be sort of on a plate for him, and together they work magic. It's like, sometimes if you have 2 people who are completely alike, they might repel one another per se. But when you have opposites and contrasting styles, they just mesh together so beautifully. I'm sure in this day, Ted Drake would have exhibited a few of those qualities. But again, I'm not too keen on having a complete out-and-out striker to go with another out-and-out striker. And I think for the reasons of having that sort of a contrast and the football they play together, how they work their magic together, is like Vieira and Petit. You can't have one without the other. You can't have Adams without O'Leary, and I know he played with Bould and Keown, but O'Leary was his perfect partner. You can't have Vieira without Petit, and so you cannot have Thierry Henry without Dennis Bergkamp. So I'm going to have to put him in the team. Just one look at his skill. That goal against Newcastle. Who can say with a straight face that he doesn't deserve to make the team? Henry and Bergkamp all day long.
Yeah, no, wow, I suppose for me, Thierry Henry, obviously, the goals he scored, he was just a machine. He was just class. Everything about the man, even to this day, oozes class. He is just such a slick, cool person. I remember I was in Miami, and at the time when I was in Miami, I was in a clothes shop in Miami. This is a true story. Any story I tell you, it's always true. I'm not bullshitting, right? Next thing, Mrs. there beside me going, there's Thierry Henry outside. And I just went, Don't wind me up now. Stop, will you? No. Thierry Henry's outside the door. And I says, you're fucking joking me. No. I swear to God, Thierry Henry is just outside the door. Go outside. And I was expecting, right, I says, I'm going outside because if you say Thierry Henry's outside and next thing I don't go out and then next thing it's, why didn't you go out to him? You know, whatever. So next thing I walked out and there's Thierry Henry sitting outside. It's like a restaurant was next door to a clothes shop that I was in, and they had like, you know, the outside chairs and stuff, this table and chairs, and he was having a meal with his wife at the time and his kid. And I just went, oh my fucking God. You know, and he was in Miami. No one knew him at the time, whereas this was 2006. He was already in Invincible. But I just went, oh, Jesus Christ. So I was just there going, right, don't go over to him because, you know, he's with his family, because that's an asshole thing to do, run over while he's having a meal with his family and stuff like that. I was like a fucking school, a teenage girl. I just went like, hi, Thierry. And I'm to this day, I'm embarrassed. You know what I mean? I'm just fucking, what the fuck do you do when you meet your idol? And I went, hi, Thierry. Jesus Christ. You know, but yeah, like he just sort of, he waved over and he knew I was an Arsenal supporter and like, you know, just gave me the old, how are you doing? But yeah, no, Thierry Henry, hands down for me. My other one as well, like, you know, I think, how do I put this? It's like, you know, if you're a young fella, okay, you always have to have a mate that you can bounce off, okay? And what I mean by that is you always have to have a mate that you can, you know, he's not better looking than you, because if he's better looking than you, you're not getting the girls. This is when I'm talking when you're a young fella. You know what I mean? So you have to just go, right, okay, mate, you go over, break the ice, and then I'll come in and I'll woo them and I'll get them. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. And that, to me, my mate Deco is great at that. You know, but for me, I'm Thierry Henry and my mate Deco is Dennis Bergkamp. Because Dennis Bergkamp could put up the play. Like, you know, he was great, good at scoring goals. He wasn't great. He wasn't like, you know, as like, you know, he wasn't a Drake. By far, he wasn't that. He wasn't a Thierry Henry. He wasn't an Ian Wright. But Jesus Christ, if I'm a striker and I have Dennis Bergkamp feeding me the balls the way he did to Thierry Henry, I'm looking at easily 15 to 20 goals a season. You know what I mean? He puts the balls on a plate for you as a striker. And that's probably the only reason why I'm putting, well, it's not the only reason I'm putting Dennis Bergkamp on that. I just think Dennis Bergkamp is an absolute legend. And that's the reason why he has a statue outside the Emirates. But no, Jez as well. I do hear you as well with Drake. Like the goal, like 7 goals against Villa and 8 goals. Like that's you. This is stuff you think that it's made up and it wasn't important. It was important. The picture we showed of Drake there, Highbury packed, absolutely jammed. So he was such an important player at that time. You know what I mean? This is what everyone thinks, like when they look at stats, oh, that's a Mickey Mouse stat. It's not really. You know what I mean? These guys were playing against professional other players and they were able to score 7, 8 goals in a game. That's phenomenal. That's unbelievable. But for me, I'm gonna cement in Bergkamp and Henry, and I think that's who we sort of have on. That's who we have.
But listen, Del, if we do decide to have a bench of maybe 5 players, certainly a replacement goalkeeper and others, I wouldn't mind having Drake on that bench and having him come on as an impact sub, maybe to replace Henry and get a late goal. I'm sure, Jez, you might be happy with the compromise, huh, sir?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll go to the managers. Let's just flick through. This might be easy, it might be hard. Arsene Wenger, Unai, Herbert Chapman, George Graham, Tom Whittaker, George Allison, Terry Neal, Bertie Mee. Anything jump out at you there, Manny?
Very controversial pick. at least 3 of these managers, the ones pictured specifically, have played their role in Arsenal's history. I'm going to go with George Graham. And I will tell you why. There was a stream that Warren did. I believe Jez, Kenny, I think you, and I don't know who else was there. I remember putting a question to the chat. If Arsene Wenger had been in charge of the team in the early 90s and had brought his revolutionary ideas of diet and fitness into the ethos, would Arsenal have won more? And I don't know who said it, but I believe there was someone, one of our respected 3, who said that Graham, it's not really reported, but he also laid down the law with regard to fitness and diet, certainly about drinking. I know that players at the time had the reputation of win or lose, get on the booze. But when Graham was in charge, I think he pretty much made it clear, certainly at least the day before the match, or even definitely during the match, that alcohol was a no-no. And I think the discipline that he was able to instill in that team was amazing. And it was that discipline and grit which enabled us to win those league titles, the cups, only our 2nd European trophy. And if you were to combine the skill and flair of Wenger with the grit of Graham, we'd have the perfect manager. But another reason why Wenger doesn't really register so highly with me is that while we did play some very stylish football at times, it was a joy to watch. We also ended up having a really bad disciplinary record during certainly the early part of Wenger's reign and continuing on that. And when you take a look at those things, you also have to consider whether the majority of Wenger's teams had the character to go the distance and actually end up challenging later on. I mean, certainly in the early part of Wenger's reign, we did challenge a great deal. We won more than our fair share of silverware. But I think Jez and many others can agree with me that the 99 season, the 2003 season, among a few others, were seasons where we should really have done a lot better than we did. And to miss out on the league on those occasions was heartbreaking. In contrast, the 1989 season was proof of how we were willing to scrap it out until the end, and how Graham was willing to instill that fight and character in the team. And there's also a really nice piece here about the Scotland goalkeeper Jim Leighton, who actually came to Arsenal on loan for the remainder of that season. Didn't get to play any games, but was certainly made to feel a part of the team. Graham was nice enough to invite him for a holiday to Singapore to thank him for the role that he played, even though he wouldn't win a medal. And Leighton said, "Nope, I need to thank you. I couldn't even get a game with Manchester United's youth teams, but you brought me here and made me feel like a part of you." And so I don't want to really go into the details of the whole controversy which surrounded his departure. It was saddening for me because it probably did a little bit to tarnish his legacy a little bit. But when you look back in retrospect, how he was able to get the best of a team that time, I certainly believe that he still would have been able to work with the superstars because they knew that in him, he was almost like the Alex Ferguson of his time in that he was willing to instill that discipline in the team. And also he won the trophies. So as much as I do love the football that Arsene Wenger played, I have nothing but respect for Herbert Chapman and how he started everything. For me, at least marginally, George Graham would be my manager.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, great points, Manny. Prince, who are you going for? Who's your manager?
You know, I love George Graham, I love Arsene Wenger, but you know what? You know, you got to bear in mind, I look at it different. I look at it like, why I look at this, you know, Herbert Chapman, this is the guy who actually set the throne for Arsenal, the tone for Arsenal. You know, before him, like, if it wasn't for him, everyone could talk about the Arsene Wenger. It's like people say Arsene Wenger is the greatest manager ever at Arsenal, all the times and all that. But then he only won 3 league titles. And like, do you know what? I agree with what just Manny said. We could have won more league titles under Wenger. We should have won the 99 league. You know, we were 12 points clear. We should have won the league in 2001 and 2002. So and 98, 99, 2000, we should have conquered 4 or 5 leagues in a title because with Arsene Wenger, there was never a dominant force. But with Herman Chapman, he was a dominant force. He was the one who set the tone. Like he was the one who won like a few titles on a bounce, and then another. And like when George Graham took over, I think was Arsenal like 9 titles or 7 titles or 8 titles, because George Graham got us up to 10 titles, so we won 8 titles. Then Wenger got us to 13 titles. So I'm going with Herbert Chapman because he was the one who gave us the history. He was the one who made us Arsenal FC. He was the one who was like, we talk about all these league titles, you know, it's his titles more than anyone else's. You know, George Graham, was, like I said, the guy was something else. Like, you know, you can't go to Anfield knowing you can't concede a goal or you lost the league title. So he was phenomenal. Wenger was phenomenal. He went unbeaten. But I'm going to go, because they're both 2 phenomenal managers, I'm going to go for the man who actually set it all up and set the foundation. And these guys continued it. So I'm going to go for Herbert Chapman.
Oh, great show. Absolute great show. Jez?
Without question of a doubt, you know I love my Arsenal history. I research it. I've researched it for 20 odd years. There's no question to me. The most iconic manager in Arsenal history has been Herbert Chapman, and he, along with George Allison in his latter time, achieved more league titles and FA Cup wins, second position in Division 1 than any other manager in the shortest period of history in 7 years. No other Arsenal manager has ever achieved that. And let's get it right. Herbert Chapman formed the famous WM system of football that is still used in football today. Nearly, you have to say, 90 years later. Still used by Premier League clubs. Every club plays that system. So, I'm sorry, Herbert Chapman, to me, what he achieved, if you look at what he achieved at Huddersfield Town, he then came to Arsenal. He then transformed Arsenal into a top first flight club, won back-to-back Division 1 titles, FA Cups. It's Herbert Chapman.
Well said, Jess.
Yeah. For me, I thought this was going to be easy, you know. For me, like what I learned from you, Jez, was Chapman. Like, you know, what a manager he done, and what he done was changed football. Forget about Arsenal. He changed football with his formations that he played. You know, he what did he do? Remember you telling me, Jez, he changed the sort of style of football and how to play.
What he did, he formed the WM.
Yes.
So he back in the 20s, late 20s, managers believed that no defence should go forward past the halfway line. What he developed was the wing back system. So he developed the first formation of where he said the wing backs back in time should support the midfield right and left. And that's where he came upon the devastation team of Arsenal in 1931, where they absolutely destroyed every team in the first division, where they scored the highest amount of goals in Division 1, and it's still a record because no other team knew how to deal with Arsenal. because you had these iconic players in that team that absolutely ripped teams apart. And then you look at the scores that Arsenal scored, you know, it was weekly 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. And that man was an iconic manager. And he was fortunate that he was in a position that he brought in these unbelievable players. Cliff Baston, Ted Drake, we can go on and on and on. And they absolutely ripped Division 1 apart. So, yeah, I'm sorry. He transformed football. Not only the fact he transformed football, he transformed Arsenal Football Club. So, to me, he is Arsenal's most iconic manager.
Yeah, and like as I says, and I've mentioned, you go to the Arsenal History Museum, and you look into, let's say, what Chapman had done, and like for a guy to do that, like change formations and fucking revolutionize football, like, you know, let's say Arsene Wenger changed when he came to England, he changed the let's go for a beer after training, let's eat fucking chips and curry sauce and everything on a Saturday night after the game. You know, that, like, Wenger changed all that. He changed English football as well, you know. But I just think back in the day, Chapman for me was levels ahead, like decades ahead. He was like the way I said Cliff Baston, you know, levels ahead of his time, you know. And I'll definitely give him my manager's show. Like, followed by George Graham, to be honest with you. Like, George Graham for me, like, I just loved his style. Like, it's just get fucking in there. And, like, you know, I loved his management style. It was absolutely phenomenal. We nearly went the Invincibles in the 91-92 season, was it, where we lost one game?
Chelsea.
You know,
Chelsea away.
That's right, yeah. Like, you know, we were nearly invincible then, you know. So George Graham nearly done that as well. And obviously Arsene Wenger done it. You know, but for me, that's who I'm going to go with Chapman, 100%. And I'll just run down through the teams real quick. Jez, your goalie, we'll just run them down. Goalie, John Lukic. Right back, Samson. Adams, O'Leary, Cole, left back. Vieira, Brady, Overmars. Who did you say is a right midfielder? Was it Lundberg, yeah, Freddie. Sorry, yeah, I have it here, yeah. Freddie, Thierry Henry, and Drake. Mane, your goalie is Seaman. Then we have Dixon, Adams, O'Leary, Cole. Right midfield, you have Rocky. Centre midfield, Vieira, Petit, Liam Brady.
And Dell. For my left back, I picked Winterburn, not Cole.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I had that. Winterburn, sorry, yeah. And up front, you had Henry and Dennis. And then you went with manager George Graham. Prince, you had Seaman, Dixon, Adams, Keown, Cole. Right midfield, you had Rocky. Then in the centre, you had Vieira, Davis, and you had Freddie as well. And up front, you had Thierry and Dennis Bergkamp and Chapman as manager. I had in goal Seaman, Dixon, Adams, O'Leary, Cole, Baston, Vieira, Petit, Brady, Henry, and Bergkamp, and Chapman as manager. So if you add all them in together, add them all up, this is the team. So this is the team we've all picked tonight. It's Seaman in goal, Dixon, Adams, O'Leary, Cole, Rocky, Vieira, Petit, Brady, Henry, Bergkamp, and the manager is Chapman.
Cool. Yeah.
Not bad. I'll tell you, it's not a bad team. I think we will win a game or two with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, a few honorably mentions. If you had to pick, Jez, I'll go to you first because you're underneath me here. If you had a sub goalie, defender, midfielder, and striker, so you have 4 players to pick. Who's your spare goalie?
Spare goalie. Right, spare goalie. I'm going Pat Jennings. What's the other one?
Defender.
Frank McClintock.
Great show.
Next one.
Midfielder.
Midfielder. Ooh, crikey. Midfielder. Ooh. Alexis Sanchez.
Great show.
Striker.
Yep.
Striker.
Now, you didn't pick Bergkamp. I'm not trying to push it anyway.
No. I'm thinking something different.
Yeah. All good. Love it.
Oh, I'll tell you what I'm going to go. Totally off the wall. I'm going to go completely bizarre. Malcolm McDonald.
Whoa.
Oh. Fine shout.
Okay. There's yours.
I'm only saying that because it's Christmas.
Yes, exactly. That's what we love. We love it. Okay, Manny, I'm on to you. Your spare goalie, please.
Spare goalkeeper. Jennings would be a good shout, except he's far too good to be a backup to anyone, really. I'm actually going to go with Johnny Lukic.
Oh, yeah. Defender.
Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm torn between picking an extra centre back or an extra wing back. I suppose I'd have to go with Kolo Toure.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Manny.
Good shout.
Midfielder?
Yep.
Midfielder. The Romford Pele himself, Ray Parlour.
Ray Parlour, very good. Striker.
Now, this is a toughie.
Yeah.
Someone who could come off the bench and score whenever you need to. As a nod to our dear venerated Mr. Collins, I'm going to go with Ted Drake.
Marnie, can I say one thing?
Yes, sir.
Call me Jez, not Mr. Bloody Collins, for God's sake.
Yeah.
We're
Friends.
We're friends on here. We're friends on here. Call me Jez,
Exactly.
please.
I call you sir as well, out of respect for your seniority and life experience.
Yeah, no, don't forget all that. Just call me Jez.
Right. Prince, what's the story? Spare goalie there.
Oh, bro, it's got to be. I got to go for the crazy German.
Layman. Yeah. Good shout.
Yeah, you know the reason why. I remember before I was watching him and Drogba, and they were arguing in it, and Lehman went over and he picked up the ball, and the referee goes, "Why are you picking up the ball?" He went, "Oh, I think there's a chip in the ball," and he saved the penalty because he got into Drogba's head. The guy was crazy, and he did the same with Rakhami. Watch when we got to Villarreal. Watch what he doing with the ball. He's there checking the ball. He got in their heads. Yeah. So the crazy German, Lehman.
Lehman's in. He's locked in here. Okay, defender.
Someone I can rely on, and is in a final last 20 minutes, and I know his head's screwed on, and he's elevated. Sol Campbell.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, midfielder.
That's a little hard. Another one. If Davis got injured, and I know you can settle him, and they'll be solid together. Petit.
Oh.
I got that off Manny. Sorry, Manny, because they were class together. When I seen them in the '98 World Cup and they played for Arsenal, you know that Manny was not dropping them two.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah, he was not dropping them. When he seen Vieira and Arsenal and Petit play for Arsenal, they went straight into that French team and won the World Cup.
Yeah,
he didn't even hesitate.
I remember the day watching the World Cup final '98. I remember I was in a pub in Raheny up the road from me there, and I remember the ball going through. I was at a wedding, and I remember the ball going through, and I just goes, "There you go!" And I just started screaming, "This is Arsenal! This is Arsenal!" Petit, boom! Oh, mate, it was unreal. I'll never forget it. Striker.
Now with the striker.
Now, come on. Ian Wright is still there. He's still there for you. He's still there for the pickings.
No. With the strikers here, I'm gonna go for my modern day. I loved him. Every time he come on, he scored. 90% of the time he was a bench. And I'm gonna go for Robin van Persie.
Oh, jeez, right. Dell has.
I love every game I went to when he come on, he scored. I know what I don't care. I'm just talking about the good old days, you know. When he come on against Blackburn or he got injured, he scored a hat trick, and every time against Charlton, he always scored this. He done it, stepped up. So Robin van Persie.
No, well, that's fair enough. I suppose I have to go. My goalie, I'm going to go. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. I'm going to go John Lukic. I have to go with him.
Oh, yeah.
Not a bad show. Not a bad one. And to come off the line, I think, I'm agreeing with you, Prince. Sol Campbell's not a bad guy if you're winning the game 2-1 to bring on, to sew it up as well. He's not a bad guy to bring on. I'm going with Sol Campbell.
We had the rhythm, but when he came to Arsenal, we got Sol.
Exactly. Yeah. No, yeah. Oh, who do I have to go now for midfield? Do you know who I'm going to go for midfield? And I'm going to go probably because Warren loves him. Matt Talbot. Brian, sorry. I'm thinking of someone else there. Brian Talbot. If we're a goal behind and you need a midfielder to come on, not a bad show. I'll go Talbot. And then striker. I'm torn here. I'll tell you where I'm torn between. I don't like him nowadays, but I loved him back in the day. Was Ian Wright? I have Thierry Henry. I have Bergkamp. Ian Wright, but then Drake. I'm a soul by Drake. Oh God. I'm going to go Giroud. I'm just going to go...
Chim, Olivier Giroud.
I threw a spanner in the works there. Now, do you know what? Because if any of my mates are watching, they know I used to love Giroud when he was playing for Arsenal. He was... what I mean by that is we're always on the ground and stuff like that. You whip a ball in, set piece, corner, he's getting his head in it. He's getting his head on it.
I got a question for you now. Would you guys? I got a question on the panel. I know it sounds bad. Would you take Giroud for 6 months back at Arsenal?
Oh, do you know what? I think I know this answer, but I'm going to go to Jez straight away with that.
Jez and Manny, you two got to answer it.
Yeah, what was the question?
The question was, would you two take Giroud back at Arsenal for 6 months?
No.
Without any doubt.
No. Once
what's that? No for Jez. What about Manny?
No, once a player's gone, mate, they're gone. No coming back. I don't agree with it. No.
That's fair enough, Jez. I can relate to that. What about you, Manny? It's just 6 months.
Normally, I'd be the one to quote that famous poem from Felix Dennis: "Never look back, never look back, never surrender that future you've earned. Stick to the track, to the beaten track, and never return to those bridges you've burned." But you know what? That didn't stop Thierry Henry coming back. That didn't stop Sol Campbell coming back. It sure as eggs didn't stop Martin Keown from coming back. So, look, I mean, obviously, he may not be the type of...
Manny, Thierry Henry only came back in his closed season to train with Arsenal. And he came on for 2 games in one game against Leeds United, where we were struggling, he scored a goal in the FA Cup. So that's not really a good argument, is it?
Well, he came back, he scored, and I'm sure if he wasn't contractually tied to his club back in the MLS, I'm sure he would have loved to come back and stay for a little bit longer. But I mean, he came back, he scored. I guess that's good enough for me. Certainly, Sol Campbell's a better example. He should have made the World Cup in 2010, but Fabio Capello went for Jamie Carragher and Ledley King. Go figure. I actually wouldn't mind having Giroud back if he can do a job for 6 months. The question is, I don't know if Giroud would necessarily want to come back to the Arsenal. That's another question altogether. And maybe Arteta might think, you know, I hedged my bets on Nketiah. We're going to stick with him. We might possibly get a striker if we can afford him. But if I were the manager and Giroud were interested in coming back, I'd say, why not? Certainly can come off the bench, be a decent target man. Still has some skills.
And that's a good shout. That's what a lot of people are saying, like, for 6 months, because he could be a target man. That's a good shout. What about you? You love Giroud. You would have him back with a heartbeat, you, Dalboy.
Right. The question is for 6 months. Okay, that's the question. He's fucking pulling trees. He's pulling the trees up in the World Cup, right? And I get what Jez, I get 100% what you're saying. I don't believe the whole fairy tale of going back and all this shit. But if I'm a manager and I can get a tune out of him, there's two things here. If I can get a tune out of him, all right, if I'm Arteta, I've played with him, I know what the story is. You put your arm around him. This is what I want from you between now, the 1st of January, and the end of May, or whenever the season's over. This is what I want from you. This is the goal. This is our aim. Okay. Now, the position that we're in at the minute, okay, there's better strikers out there. I 100% agree with everyone, and I'm not even looking at the comments here because they're flying up. But we have to lead the line with Eddie fucking Nketiah. I'd rather lead the line for Arsenal. And that's what I'm looking at. If you tell me, Dale, you're going to have Eddie Nketiah or Oliver Giroud, yeah, I'll take Giroud 100%. 100%. Because Eddie is just not good enough. I'm sorry. He will not get you 10 plus goals between now and May. And that's what we need. Like, you know, we need someone coming off the bench. That's my opinion. It's not the right opinion. It's just my opinion. You know, I don't know if anyone wants to comment on that or elaborate on that.
What league does Giroud play in?
Serie A, AC Milan.
Exactly. What happened the other day? Arsenal played AC Milan. Beat them.
Yeah, no, we bet them what 2-1. Yeah, but see,
so let's get it right. Let's put it right. Giroud is over his sell-by date. He's had a decent World Cup.
I like that.
Right? He's not going to hack it in the Premier League. Look, we start back Boxing Day. Yeah? Right? We start Boxing Day. Arsenal have now got to go out and really put it out there. Do you honestly think you're telling me that Giroud can come off the bench against when we've got 2 games against Manchester City, Newcastle United, who are a threat?
Yep.
A major threat. I don't think so. Why waste our time in trying to bring back a past player who isn't going to perform? Because at the end of the day, he's going to just demand a wage. He's done his time. Yeah, he was great in his day. No, it's facts. It's facts in football. It's facts in life. You never go back. If you've ever been married, right, and you split up with a woman, you'd never go back because you know it will never be the same. You don't do it. It's fact. You move on. You move on to pastures new. You look for new ambition. No, Arsenal Football Club is far bigger than looking at bringing back Oliver Giroud. No, we have had the biggest opportunity in world football right now where Edu and their crew are looking to recruit. Fact. Let's not piss about like we're a little, a little club. We are a world biggest club. We are the biggest club in Europe, if not in international football. So this club, Edu and all that crew, should be looking at securing a new striker and a new midfielder and a new left back to back up what we've got and doing the damage. Because I don't want to see Oliver Giroud come back. Yeah, he's had a nice World Cup. He scored a couple of goals. No, he ain't going to last the season with Arsenal. So let's not ponce about. Let's do what Arsenal do. Let's do the damage. Simple. End of story.
No, like Jez, I agree with you 110%, mate. I really no. I'm only sort of answering the question I was sort of asked, as in like, would I like if Giroud was the only one in January? Yeah, fucking right, I'd take him 100% because I'm not fucking relying on Eddie and Nketiah. But as you said, and I 110% agree with you, we're Arsenal. We should be going out now and signing a top quality striker to replace Jesus, because if we don't do that, forget about any league. Let's concentrate on trying to get into the Champions League if we don't do that. Because we have to sign a striker. 100%. And a midfielder. Manny, what do you think on this? Like what's your take?
The problem with what both you and Jez are saying, Del, is that yes, we do need to sign a quality striker. Yes, we do need to sign a quality midfielder. But with the budget we have, 50 million quid, I mean, is that really going to be enough to get any of these high-end players? The only thing that I can really hope for is that Josh, who seems to have had the ear of Stan for quite some time. I mean, I don't know if that's the correct way to use it, but he's been in Stan's ear. He's the one who's probably, been urging him to, splash out the dosh or what have you. He's going to have to look at him and say, Dad, listen, we need to shell out a bit more. 50 million quid isn't going to cut it. So it's better. I mean, in recent times, we've been linked with someone like Memphis Depay, who could be quite good. And he certainly had a fine World Cup with the Dutch. And he certainly looks to be a player who still has it. The only problem with him, as Jez would agree, is that he's into his 30s. He's certainly nowhere near past it like Giroud is, but certainly starting to get on a bit. So if our standards are going to be that high, we might as well rule out every single 30-year-old striker there is. And all of these quality strikers and wingers, you're not going to get any of them for the money we're prepared to offer. So it's not going to be a question of lasting a season. Nobody's saying that we should even consider offering Giroud a contract. But, again, it comes to horses for courses. Pick someone who's had experience of playing in the Premier League. I'd say I wouldn't knock it. In normal circumstances, as I've said, never look back. And I agree with Jez there. But sometimes we have to consider all options. If we want to make sure that we get the best, we have to be willing to make sure that we have the budget to spend and for and buy the best. Otherwise,
Danny,
yeah.
You have to remember, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Arsenal says 50 million quid, yeah?
Yeah.
Arsenal, no other football club goes and splashes out £100 million on a player in one hit. It's done over a period of time. You know that.
Installments.
How it works. It goes over a period of time. So in the January transfer window, if Arsenal, let's say they want to go for Tielemans, yeah, whatever, and I'm not going to debate whether we should or not, or we go for Mudryk or whoever, they're not going to splash the money out in one check. It's done over a period of time of negotiation. So Arsenal, the rumours saying, there's a transfer budget of 50 million. Well, that might be an initial starting situation, but that payment will be over 2 or 3 years. Now, we know that happened with Suarez when he went off from Liverpool. That was over 3 years. We've done it with Saliba. We didn't do it over, right, here's the money, bang, there you go, there's a check. It's done as a process. That's how negotiations are done in modern football. So I don't think saying there's a £50 million budget is the end of the story, because we know that the Cronkies are very, very clever people. We might not like them, but they are serious businessmen. They haven't made their billions and billions and billions by spunking money out there on this. They have very clever negotiators. We may not like it, but they're not stupid people. And I don't like Edu. I don't like the Arsenal setup. I'll admit that. But let's put it right. When it's come down to it, they've spent the money. Yeah. Arteta has had over £500 million in signings he wanted since he's been here. So we can't knock. This is what I don't get about people knocking the management. He's been given whatever he wanted in buying players. We can't deny it, guys. We can't.
Yeah, but Jess, I agree with you on that. But what we got to look into, see, Jess, is they have been pumping the money, but have they been his signings? It's like some ownerships will say you're working with this lot. It's like when Unai Emery come to Arsenal. Unai Emery said, "I didn't want what's his name? The one from we bought who's on loan, Pepe. He didn't want to buy the one the Argentinian guy, the one who's homesick. What's his name again? Torreira. He didn't want to buy Leno. Emery didn't want to buy Leno. They said, "Yes, we're gonna go out there, spend this money, and we're gonna hand them down to you." So that's the only thing I back in Arteta's favor. When he said, "Well, some of these players I didn't want them. You guys brought them to me, and it makes it look like I wanted them. I spent it." So that's when I think the Cronkies messed up there, because even Emery come out and said, "I said to him, I want Wilfred Zaha," and they went and got Nicolas Pepe, and so it depends. But they have spent money.
Was it Emery or was it Edu?
I say it's Edu, because I know Arteta don't want Willian. That's what they fell over, because
I agree.
They fell out over that because Arteta did not want Willian. Everyone blamed Arteta when and they come out with that speech about Arteta saying all about he's going to win the Champions League and Willian this and all that. Come out and said that, but he wasn't an Arteta player. You can see he wasn't, because he got rid of him in the season after. You got. But it's down to Edu now to see what they do. I agree with you. Let's see if they got the corners to go and buy these players, because like you are right, Jez. The Cronkies are really clever. They can pay an installment. They'll say, "We'll take it now, and we'll pay you next month or next year." So they got no excuses, because they have got the money, and they are really clever. Our owners, they know what they're doing, man. They know what they're doing.
Let's just clarify a point, shall we? During COVID, lockdown, all that, the CSI, whatever they're called, I can't remember the name now. They took a bank loan from the government bank at 1% interest to cover the costs at Arsenal. And Arsenal, a lot of people say, "Oh, they're borrowing money for this, that, and the other." It's a sensible business loan. Why would you guys use your own money in your bank when you can borrow money at 1% interest from the government bank, to keep your business running, and then you pay it back at 1% when your business is back in operation? That is a sensible business situation. I ran my own business, so I am quite astute at knowing how to run a business. Now, The fact of the matter is with the Conkeys is they are very, very switched on.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
They run multi-million-pound businesses in the United States. They own Walmart, blah blah blah, and all this. So they're not stupid people. They have very, very astute business people, so they can negotiate deals that none of us can. So they're going to do this business if in the transfer windows, as they do in their American football, baseball teams, blah blah blah, and all that. So we have to look at the facts. £50 million transfer budget posted out there. Yeah, that's what they're saying. No, behind the scenes, they will negotiate. I will buy this player at, let's say, 20 million. Right. Well, we'll pay you that. We'll pay you that over the next 18 months. And we'll buy this player for 20 million. I will pay you that over 2 years. That's how football transfers work. Nobody pays 50 million, 110 million, 200 million up front. It doesn't work like that. Nobody does that. It's like you going out and saying, oh, I want to buy a Bugatti Veyron, 105 million. Well, you're not going to pay it up front, are you? You're going to put a deposit down. You're going to pay it over 2 or 3 years.
See, this is the thing. Manny, can I bring you in there? What's your sort of thought on this, Manny?
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, whether it's buying players or obviously trying to buy a football club, I do seem to remember that at one point it was Leicester who was, which was aiming to be brought by that Thai billionaire who actually thought of raising money in the form of, trying to get some lottery funding or something like that. I'm not too sure. And I take Jez's point where obviously he's saying that you cannot, disclose that you have that much money. You probably shouldn't want to make people know about how much you are willing to pay and pay the money up front, and nobody can really do that. I guess my biggest fear is that clubs might also want to consider other people who might be interested and other people who might possibly who might be willing to pay a little bit more upfront and actually offer a detailed plan. Because let's take a look at some circumstances. The Kroenkes haven't really been spending too much money beforehand, and now they're willing to spend it now, which is good in a way. The only problem that I have is if they're not willing to obviously pay full price for a player right now, and I can completely understand why, they're going to have to make sure that they have a solid plan to be able to make sure that the money is paid. Because again, if clubs do not receive the money within that agreed period, then they can certainly hold those people in contempt. And I'm not sure the Kroenkes will want to risk that. I guess I'm sort of torn between the idea of possibly, wanting to be a little bit pragmatic and make sure that we can attract players. I'm not sure. I'm just thinking of whether they'd want to try and come to the Arsenal, maybe, given that we're only in the Europa League. Of course, that could change if we continue our terrific run in the Premiership. I guess, maybe I'm starting to be swayed. Maybe I'm starting to think that maybe we should be able to try and throw our weight around and say, look, we really need to make sure that we get some more players. I'm not sure that we should start to admit that getting Gabriel Jesus was a mistake, because until his injury, he was looking good. Granted, he had a run of not scoring for a few games before the World Cup. Again, I guess it sort of depends now, given our situation, what sort of player can we really attract? We have someone like Mudrak who's willing to come to us. And again, the asking price might be the problem. We can agree certainly to pay a percentage of that money, maybe, I'd say somewhere between 30 to 40% now, and make sure that the rest is properly paid in installments, but we will be pressured to pay. I guess I'm in two minds about this. I'm in two minds. Would I love to get some really good quality players at Arsenal? Absolutely. I'm just worried about how much it would cost. I'm just worried about more than anything else how things could be dealt with. And if the players themselves decide that they're not willing to come to Arsenal, then what's the point of putting the eggs in that basket? I think maybe if we should probably cast our net a bit wider on that point. I do agree with Jez now.
Like the way that I look at things is if they don't want to come to Arsenal, see you later. Don't want to know you. End of. I don't care how big these stars are, or Ronaldo's linked to Arsenal. Fuck off. You know what I mean? Who is he? Does he know Arsenal? Does he know the history of the club? He's probably just going to pepper his ego or something like that. Oh, now I'm after moving to Arsenal. We're on top of the league. Let's go and win the league. And then if we won the league with him, oh, it was down to me. No, it wasn't me. Shut up.
I think they'll buy though. I think, like the position we're in, and we're 5 points clear. I think if you want to keep the fans on your side, because there's a lot of owners now who want to buy Arsenal. Like that, so
yeah, no, I do agree with you, because I was reading the other day, and I was actually hold on, Prince. I was actually going to text you, Manny, because there was an Indian billionaire. I think he's the 10th richest man.
Yes,
in the world.
Mukesh Ambani, and
yeah, he said something about Arsenal.
Yes, he said, given the choice between buying Liverpool or Manchester United, something like an Arsenal would work really well, because the thing about Arsenal is that it's these London clubs, Arsenal and Chelsea specifically, which have the biggest fan following in India, and Mukesh Ambani might be willing to, stump up the cash. It's as if, again, I take the point when I say that some people shouldn't really be necessarily willing to pay up their money up front. But again, sometimes people will be swayed by the prospects of cash up front. One of the reasons why I'm not sure I remember why the Kroenkes weren't willing to sell out to Daniel Ek, who was the owner of Spotify. I think they made it crystal clear that no matter how much money would be offered, they didn't want to put the club up for sale, and maybe Ek wasn't really willing to budge. But Mukesh Ambani being a part of that whole dynasty, if you will, is quite frankly, you could say almost rolling in money. And if he were willing to provide an excellent deal sweetener, like pay maybe more than 50% upfront, and definitely work to make sure that the money were to be paid a little bit further, then that would be a nice change. And I'll tell you one thing, after all of this kerfluffle about Arab owners and American owners and Russian owners, having someone from Asia coming in to sort of, help Arsenal further tap into that South Asian market, genius. I hope that happens. And if that happens, that would be amazing.
First person I thought of when that happened was you, Manny. I read it and I went,
no,
I have to
he's right.
text Manny.
No, but Manny's right, because like in the Middle East industry, like he was saying about the Asian industry, it's like over in there they will buy. But with these American owners, for some reason, I think it's like, I think with the Liverpool ones and American ones, they can only take you to a certain level. Do you understand, Manny? I don't think they got that level. It's like when Newcastle now. It's like when Newcastle now. It's like Liverpool owners have been there for years, and it took Klopp a while to get top. It took Klopp a while to get where they are. But without the backing now, they ain't no more plan B.
No, Prince. I think it's not that they can only take them to a certain level. It's they only want to take them to a certain level. So
exactly.
Now this is what I'm talking about. Let's say the Kroenkes, okay? So I'm just there, right? I have Arsenal now, top of the league, okay? We have a nice structure. We have nice youth players. We've the youngest team and fucking whatever Arsenal want to sell it that way. They are such a good club to buy. If I'm from Saudi Arabia and I own an oil field, or I'm fucking the prince of whoever, wherever, and I've loads of money, I want to buy Arsenal. exactly like that. The Indian guy that Mane is talking about. He's the 10th richest man in the planet. Hey, this is a perfect club for them. It's better than Man United. Old Trafford's fallen down. You know what I mean? Liverpool's not fucking any better. You know, like Arsenal are the best team you can buy at the minute if you're a multi-billionaire or whatever, because you're in London. You have the youth structure. You have the youngest team. We're at the top of the league. All you need is another 100 or 300 million, and you're going to win the league. You're going to win the Champions. Like, you know, for these billionaires, for their little toys to play around with, it's excellent. You know. But anyway, let's stop talking about billionaires and all this shit. Let's come back down to reality, all right? Let's talk about Arsenal, right? And we'll finish this up in a few minutes, but I just want to just sort of, look, because I'm starved of Arsenal. I don't know about you guys, but I'm sick of the World Cup at this stage. I'm fucking love me club, and I want to talk about them, right?
This is where I'm going to differ from you, because, like, unlike Jez, unlike yourself, and maybe unlike Fuad, I live for international football. Italia 90 was my first footballing experience, so I love everything about it. I actually believe you get a lot more in terms of passion from international football because you don't pay for a pay packet every week. It's sort of for the love for your country. And certainly back in the days when England had the likes of, Butcher playing in the team, we can't forget that iconic bandage around his head. He was still bleeding through that. I mean, that was what it meant to play international football then. I take people's point when people say it's become a lot more, commercialized. In some ways, it's become a little bit unethical. Luis Suarez, I'm going to call you out. I was so happy when you got knocked out and you started bawling like a baby. But for me, international football will always be wonderful. But I am looking forward to getting back to Arsenal. But again, that's a big problem with having the World Cup in December. You don't seem to appreciate it while it's there. Whereas the World Cup, and I think, Jez, you'll agree with me on this, it should be a summer tournament.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I'll be honest with you. I have enjoyed this World Cup. I've stated it. I have enjoyed it. I'm not a great fan of international football, but I have enjoyed this. There's been some iconic games and some crazy results. Let's get it right. I can't wait, Manny, for it to be over. Basically, it's selfish. I've got a YouTube channel, and I've had basically nothing to talk about because it's my channel's all about Arsenal. I have no great knowledge about international football, and I admit that. And I've lost quite a few subs in the last 3 weeks, I think. And I thought, well, there's no point in posting anything out there because I've got nothing to talk about. So it is what it is. And I've got to try and get it back out there. And I've noticed a lot of YouTubers, Arsenal YouTubers, haven't done anything because we've got nothing to talk about. And it is what it is. So, yeah, I can't wait personally for it to be over. And next week, when it's over, I'll be doing a couple of shows just to get back into it. And then it's Christmas time and big on Boxing Day.
Yeah, 100%. I'll tell you, like, the way that I look at it, international football, I'm going to start doing my homework. And the FAI, that's the Football Association of Ireland, you're getting done. Del Boy's coming after you. And I have a fucking serious fucking problem. And I'm going to keep it under wraps, right? But I am coming for them in the summer. Watch it. That's all I'll say. I'm going to be.
If it's anything like Warren Scotland video, I am going to watch it. It will be.
Oh no! It is. Yeah, but this is feet on the street. That's all I'll say. You know what I mean? I'll leave it there, right? And what, as Jez says there's a few subs and all you people dropping off and stuff like that. Please do subscribe to Jez channel, Arsenal: The History of More. Check out Prince Freud. He's hitting the road to the 1K. I'm trying to hit the road to the 1K. I think I'm doing roundabouts at the minute, exactly like Jez. I'm losing subs, I'm getting subs, I'm losing them. But sure, hey ho, my life doesn't depend on subs. So, But anyway, I want to ask you a question, right? This is what I was leading up to there a minute ago. Prince, I'll go to you first, right? As our Arsenal team now, if we sign no one in January, where will we come in the league in May?
We'll finish maybe third or second. I don't think we'll drop off as much, but it'd be upsetting because last season. I know. Listen, last season I knew they weren't buying one in January, but I really thought we were going to finish top 4, but they just missed out. Don't do the same mistake, Arsenal. You're 5 points clear. You're in a good position. You're in a good position now. Buy players, and I think we can go all the way. I think if we buy 2 players in January, I think Arsenal, Arsenal will win all the way. And then when Mikel Arteta wins his first league title for Arsenal, I want everyone to say, well done to Mikel Arteta. That's all. That's all I want. Huh?
Prince, the first person I'm calling if Arteta wins the league, it's you. I'm calling you. I'm getting your mom. I'm calling you.
I've met Delboy in person, innit? I've seen
yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. The first person I'm hugging is you. The first person.
all the stick and abuse I took off fans. I'm like, I deserve a hug, innit? I just hope he wins it. I just hope Mikel Arteta delivers it just for the Arsenal fan base, and then it just makes you that's because it doesn't matter if you didn't listen. It doesn't matter if you supported him or didn't. But if he delivers it for the Arsenal fan base, it'll just unite everyone, and that's his job. That's what you all wanted. He's done it, and then if he does win the league, and I think Jez will agree with me, he deserves another 2 years. To build on it.
Well, look. The way that I put it is right. If Arsenal we win the league. Let's say we won the league, right? Whatever this year, I'm bringing my son over to the Emirates. You know, hands down, just for him to feel it. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't come around often. We've been waiting, 18, 19 years for this to happen. You know, but look, I'm not. That's another days. That's another talk. Manny, what's happening if we do not sign anyone? Okay, where are we coming?
If we don't sign anyone, especially if we don't sign a replacement striker for Gabriel Jesus, I'm going to have to disagree with Fuad and say we will end up struggling to make the top 4. I'm sorry, because goals will win you games, clean sheets will win you championships. I think defensively we might perhaps be set unless we suffer some more injuries in that regard. But if we don't sign anyone, it will be an indictment on us and the way we've done business, and we don't deserve any success. But hopefully we will sign at least a striker. We definitely need another right back because as much as well as Ben White might have done, I don't see him continuing in that position for too long. But again, if we don't sign anyone, we're going to struggle. We might actually end up finishing 5th, and it'll be the same cycle all over again. But hopefully, we sign some people.
Jez, same question to you. If we don't sign anyone, where do you think we're coming?
Yeah. Okay, I totally endorse what Manny said and Fowl said. The fact of the matter remains that we are in prime position, top of the league, 5 points clear. We are now set to make a statement of saying we are Arsenal.
100%. A
Yeah?
million percent. 100%. Facts.
If the hierarchy, Edu and all the rest of them don't realise we have a problem in that we've lost a iconic player, playmaker. He's not a great goal scorer, but he's a playmaker. We need to have somebody that can actually score goals in his replacement and to be a playmaker and do the damage. If they don't do that, we will not win the Premier League, and I can see us ending up maybe 4th or 5th. And that is if that happens, Manny, and Prince failed, then that shows the poor management of this football club.
Yeah.
Because, let's get it right, a certain person in Edu said it's now all about trophies. His statement, people, if he fails on that, then he has to be sacked. And if he fails on that, Arteta has to be sacked. I'm sorry, Prince failed, but if they don't deliver now, top of the league, 5 points clear on Boxing Day, and we start going into March, April, failing, they're sacked. And if they're not sacked for failing, then this shows the ambition of this football club under the Cronkies. And if they don't deliver, if they don't do the damage, then the Cronkies are showing us as Arsenal lifelong fans where they're at, that they don't give a flying F.
Yeah. I have to agree with that. Because if they don't sign anyone in January and in the position that we're in, forget about winning any trophies under the Cronkies. I agree 100% with Jez.
Oh, no, 100%.
We are at the one or two more players to sprinkle on this team. We're challenging up until May.
But
and they have to do that. They have. I cannot see. We talked about earlier on about we have only 50 million to spend, and Jez, I think it was you, Jez, that said it rightly. They're only deposits. If you go to buy a car in the morning and you want to finance it, you have to have about 10% to deposit the car. So that's 50 million is a deposit. So we'd say you have to have give us 10 million. And then you can deposit the rest of it. You can pay it financially every month or whatever the fucking is. That's the way it is. So we are now at a stage where we go, wow, we're fucking top of the league here, mate. This fella over here we can sign for 6 months. This fella over here we can sign for 3 years. This fella is an up-and-coming player. If we're going into this fucking... even... If I see we're not going into 2 weeks into January and we've not signed anyone, forget about the league. Forget about it.
Double, I'll leave you on this note, and Jez and Manny, and you can count it, all right? Look at it. This is how I look at it from my perspective. When people say back Arteta and this and that, look at it from my perspective. If I break it down for you, Arteta's a young manager. You with it as owners, you bring him in as a novice, and I agree he's a novice. That's why I backed him. This novice who took all his stick off the fan base, he brought us together. He worked his hardest, and now this novice who you said we're gonna back is in a position where he can actually win the league. And if they don't go and back him, everyone can't just say, oh, it's Mikel's fault, because people are saying in the club, and even ex-managers, like even Emery come out and said, hinted to the owners. He said, if they don't win it now, you gotta take a look at the owners, because he's saying, I come here as a novice, I am now in the promised land with the fans. You need to back me. You need to give me what I want just to win the title. Because, I agree with that. I agree and the fact of the matter is, Arteta is not a little 60. Arteta is not 60. He's 40 years of age. If you've got a 40-year-old top of the table, 5 points clear, and you're telling me that you can't back this young manager, mate, don't get it twisted. Other clubs will be looking at him. Think of it. Look what he's.
Can I just say to you there? I'm going to agree with you on a major point here, right? They brought him in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Under this process, philosophy, project, whatever you bloody want to call it, right? He has, and I agree with you, I do agree. He's got Arsenal to number 1 in the league, 5 points clear. So, if Edu, who brought him in, right? Yeah. and the Cronkies brought him in. They've now got Arteta has got the team playing excellent football, and to the point where they're now top of the league, 5 points clear. If the Cronkies don't now back him any further, it's a bloody shocking disgrace. I didn't want him. I'll put it out there. You know my view. We've discussed it, haven't we? We have discussed it. At this point in time, I admire the man. He's done a job, but if the Cronkies do not back him, then they are disgusting and disgraceful to this Arsenal Football Club, and we will know what they actually want to achieve, which will be jack shit.
Yeah. Manny, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm going to sort of come in right here because let's take a look at last season as well. We had our chance to secure entry into the Champions League through the top 4. I believe we were clear, a few points clear. We also had games in hand. We had the advantage, let's not forget, of only having to play once a week because we weren't playing European football. We all know what happened. We all know how everything just faded away and we ended up completely missing out. I suppose one advantage of that is that Arteta's made it crystal clear that the boys have to remember the hurt and drill it into themselves that what happened that last season should never happen again. But again, we need to get some perspective. Yes, we're top of the league on Boxing Day, but we've only played 14 games. 1-4. The league lasts 38 games. So we always say back in England, there's many a slip between the cup and the lip. And there's a reason why we say that, because things can happen. I completely agree that the Cronkies have to, put up or shut up in the sense that they really have to back this manager and make sure that he gets the tools he needs. But again, we can't absolve the manager of any blame for anything because let's take a look at what happened with Unai Emery. He made it crystal clear that he never got the backing that he deserved from the managers, and to an extent, he had a point. And in his first season, we also missed out on the Champions League by a whisker through the league position, faltering when we shouldn't have faltered. But we did play some really, really good football throughout that season. I'm sure all of you can agree with me on that. Next season, it got to a point where results weren't going at all well. And I think it was for the best of both parties that he had to go. And he went on to Villarreal and went on to, get his revenge over us, if you will, and win a piece of silverware. Now he's back with Aston Villa and could very well mastermind another revenge act against us. You never know. But what angered me about the board was that they weren't willing to back Emery. I don't know if I can completely trust them to back Arteta. But Arteta as well, it was his decision. At least he had a major say in this to make sure that Eddie Nketiah would stay on at the club and be offered that salary and the iconic number 14 shirt. And he's done well in the Europa League. I mean, actually, he's probably only scored about in those Europa League games, but whenever he would be brought on, he wouldn't really contribute very much. I'm sure he'll get to play in the cup competitions, and I'm sure he'll, be able to pad his stats and make that celebration. Call me whenever you can. Or maybe he wants to call the Ghostbusters. I don't know. But sometimes we also have to accept the fact that when it comes to the results of a club, the manager does have a say in it. He does have some sort of an input. And if he's unable to assert himself and make it crystal clear that he has to flex it, I mean, if he doesn't flex his muscles and say, I need this to be done, or at least threaten them by walking away, sometimes when you're in that situation, you've got to flex your muscle. Because Jez can agree with me. There's a wonderful quote based in London or back in England. Shy children don't get sweets. You've got to open your mouth. It's only when the young bird opens its mouth that it gets the worm. So Arteta also has to flex his muscles. We can't sit here and sort of give him credit for being a young, ambitious manager who's done so well with Arsenal, despite the fact that half the season isn't over, and then say if he doesn't get what he wants and the team doesn't achieve anything, then he should be absolved of any blame. That's like trying to have the penny and the bun with him. If you want to give him compliments in good equal measure, you've got good measure. You've got to give him criticism in equal measure as well. So, as harsh as it may be to say, if he doesn't achieve the targets he wants to achieve, if he flops that badly, then we have to sort of take it into consideration that maybe he just doesn't have it in him to truly take Arsenal over the line. Which is why I always say we cannot look at things right now until the end of the season. If Leicester City could have the attitude of taking the game at a time and not even think of winning the league until the very end of their season when they finish 10 points clear of us, that is the approach that we have to take. So the season isn't even half over. It's what Arteta and the board will do together that will define how this season pans out. And both parties have to take responsibility.
Jez, I great points there, Manny, right? This is a question I have for you, Jez, right? And this is a hard question, okay? If Edu and the board do not give Arteta what he wants in January, and we finish outside the top 4, do you want Arteta gone?
That's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, but you're on Del Boy Gunner TV. They're not easy, mate.
Okay, I'll counter it this way. Okay,
it's not his,
if
fault.
Edu and if Edu and that don't back him as he should be backed in the position that he's achieved with Arsenal, and I never wanted him, yeah. And if the board and Edu don't do their job, and he ends up in Arsenal, end up in 4th place, having been in 1st place, would I want Arteta to go? Purely on the lack of backing, I mean investment from them in January, the transfer window, and not securing the contracts of Saka, Saliba, yeah. Contracts are up for renewal, and these players are not at this point in time playing the game, then I would say no, I wouldn't sack Arteta. I'd sack Edu, and all the rest of them.
Arteta, what do you think?
Arteta, can I just sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, sorry, Jess, go ahead.
Arteta has got a team playing a philosophy of football, and I admire him for that. But if Arsenal board do not do the business, Edu has got to secure the contracts of Martinelli, Saka, yeah, because they're up for negotiation. So they've got to do the business. So if they don't do that, then they have failed, and therefore they should be sacked before Arteta.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. Floyd, if we don't get top 4 and the Arsenal fan base are screaming and shouting come May, and no one has backed Arteta in January, what's happening for you?
I'll tell you something, all right? Arteta has told the fan base, and he tells you in the interviews, when the journalist asks him every question, what they ask him, do you think you could win the title? What's his answer? We need the resources to win the title. That's what he said in every interview. So if the fans, like football fans in general, would if you're uncouth, that's your problem. Like if you're daft, another word for daft, uncouth. If you're not educated, he tells them in every conference, we need the resources. He's telling you upstairs, we need the resources. He's telling the fans, Every question they threw at him, that's his answer. He's trying to tell you we need money to win the league.
Yeah.
He doesn't come out. He's not going to, because, bro, apparently rumors say like he challenges them all the time and he's on their case. We need the resources, but he tells you that in the thing. So, like Jess said, Edu and the owner's gonna take a big look at it, but that's his answer. So it's down to the fans to use that logic. Every time we need the resources. What resources in this? Money. They need to spend money. So it's not him. It's not him, because what's this worrying part is, as an Arsenal fan, is you brought him in, you built him. We brought him in, and I agree with the three of you. Like, you're gonna agree with me. When we brought in Arteta, this is why I was so calm. He was learning on the job. We're Arsenal FC. They shouldn't be really doing that. But now he's learned on the job, and he's got to where he's got to where you want him to get us. This is the time to back him.
Absolutely.
But that's his. Remember them words. We need the resources. He says it in every interview. Watch his interviews. So I agree with Jez. If they don't win anything, but I really think they're gonna put their hands deep in their pocket. That's my opinion. They know.
They need to. Anyway, guys, I've got to bail.
Yeah.
I've got to go.
We're wrapping it up now soon. Jez, give a shout out to your channel there and what's going on.
Arsenal history and more. Not a lot happening till we get back until the real football. World Cup football's great, but it's not my cup of tea. And next week, I think Wednesday, big show with Lee, Kenny, and other things. And then we're doing the big Christmas Eve show, I think. That'd be wild. We're going to try and get loads of different people on at different points in
Jez, do you want me to jump on Wednesday with you?
Sorry?
Do you still want me to jump on Wednesday?
Wednesday I'll do a show.
Yeah, do you want me to jump on with you? Because you asked me to jump on.
Yeah. Jump on, man. Yeah, jump on.
I'll jump on Wednesday with you.
You're in the group. You're in the Instagram group, and I always fire it out there. If anybody wants to jump on,
I'll jump on. Just send me the link. I'll jump on.
Yeah, and if you anybody, I always put it in the Real Arsenal Instagram group. If anybody wants to jump on. It's not a problem. And then I think Gracie May and I are doing a Christmas Eve show on my channel, and anybody can come on. Anybody that's in the group chat, jump on, have a chat, say what you want to say, da. It's just gonna be a fun one. We talk about anything you want to talk about. It'll be fun. Yeah. Okay.
Fair play, Jez. Manny, give you a shout out. Do you want to go to your socials or anything like that?
I've got to go. So,
yeah, go on, Jez. Cheers. I'll talk to you soon, buddy. Take care, mate.
We talk. Keep in contact in the groups. Yeah.
Come on, Jez. Cheers, buddy. Take care. All the best.
Absolutely. Okay, so
Manny, do you want to shout out?
Yeah, socials. You can catch me on Twitter at Thangarai1981. That's my surname and my year of birth. Having a few discussions, if you will, with Arteta inners and Arteta outers alike. I talk a lot of things, mainly politics and sports, because I'm a junkie when it comes to all of that stuff. A few economics-related stuff, some of that. Instagram, Manny Thangarai 1981. That's my full name and my year of birth. I'm also a part of that group chat, obviously. Really good fun. And once again, a shout out to all these wonderful channels on YouTube where you can find me. Coach's Corner with Hanno Trollope, Oris Talks Football. Huge shout out as well to the Bournemouth-based UTC IAD. We also do some good stuff together, mainly the cherry picking shows. We should be doing a show to either preview or review the World Cup, or we might be doing a Christmas show sometime soon. You're more than welcome to check that out. Tony Claude Gunner TV, Danny AFC TV, few other neutral channels like the Chelsea Dan channel, the True Red Devils podcast, also Anthony Herbert's channel, Football United. I've gone on his stream once or twice. Really good stuff. And of course, I cannot end the stream without mentioning the legend himself, Del Boy Gunner TV, my first foray into YouTube. We go back quite some way, but we've had some wonderful moments along the way, and it's been a pleasure. All I can say is thank you very much indeed. And I love coming on these channels, talking about football with like-minded fans of all ages. It's not about our tribal backing of our own teams. We're united by our love of the game. We have discussions and we come to resolutions, and that's the way we coexist in this society and also live in harmony. So long may that continue. Thanks to all of you for joining in. Do not forget to like and subscribe to this. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, click for notifications. Terrific content from our man here, Del Boy, and enjoy yourselves. Have a good sleep. Enjoy your weekend. Don't do anything any of us wouldn't do. And for now, I am out.
Thanks, Manny. Prince, what's happening, mate?
Oh, I'm just lazy, bro. I'm a lazy channel, bro. I'm one of them ones, bro. You know, everyone's subscribed to Del, show support, hit the likes, and you can find me at Prince Fire TV. But I'll be honest with you, I'm a lazy channel, bro. I just does it when I feel like it, bro. So, but everyone, man, it's been a wicked show. You know, it's been a pleasure with Manny, and I like. It was good. Like you're my mind pickle when you picking your teams, like
yeah.
So, but. I gotta give it to Manny. Manny and you did something really clever. And I thought when I see Petita Vieira, I was like, shit, I can't change my mind now. I bit my tongue, bruh.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one. I said Davis, as soon as he said Petita Vieira, I was like, shit. I'll give you that one. That was a good shot, that was like an AK. Boom, gone, bruh. Hit me with a soul, bruh. It was too late. I can't change it, didn't it? So my mind was made up. But I just wished I should have fought France 98 before I even fought the midfield. But it's been a pleasure, man. It's been an honor having you, speaking to you guys, man. And I love Del's show, you know. I love coming on Del's show. And Del loves having me on when Hassler loses, because Del always asks me on, because I don't mind Warren. What's his name? Is it Kyle? What's the Welsh?
Kyle, yeah, Kyle.
Kyle. I love Kyle, bruh. He's like, and you were still backing that earlier. And that's what he says. Kyle, Manny,
there's one more person. There's one more person we need to get on the streams more often. Our good friend from Down Under, Steve-O, the Aussie Gooner.
Yes,
shout out to you as well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Steve, man. Steve, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I was trying to get him on, but it would have been about 6 or 7 in the morning on a Saturday, and I just says, no, do you know what? I'm not going to wake the guy up, and I don't want to do that. Well, lads, come here. I just want to give a shout out to you guys, Manny, Prince Foy, Jez as well for coming on, and everyone in the chat. Like, Jesus Christ, fair play to you. Like, I talk shite. I don't know half the shit that you guys know about Arsenal. I'm still learning every day of the week, and I'm learning from the likes of Manny. I'm learning from Prince. I'm learning from Jez. I'm learning from everyone in the comments, Craig, Paul, you know what I mean? Everyone else in the chat. I love this club. I'm so passionate about this club. It's unreal.
Mate, you're not learning anything from me. You and I are more or less the same age, and I missed out on a good few years of following the team because I didn't have the chance. So I guess you could say the more we teach, the more we learn, the more we talk, the more we learn. You're learning nothing from me. If anything, I'm learning a bit more from you and Jez and obviously a few others.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is. And Prince Floyd, you've seen me on the battlefields. You've seen me on AFTV. You've seen the boys fucking pushing me sideways, leftways, everyways, and Del Boy's still coming in. Who's going? Who's going? Who's going for it? Del Boy's going in like Conor McGregor. Get out of me bleeding way. I'm fucking going for it. That's the way I rock and roll. And they all know that. They all know that on AFTV. They're all afraid of their life. You've seen it. You've seen it fight.
I was there.
The way it should be.
I was there with Del Boy. I thought Del Boy was some 6-foot guy. I see him. He's like, "Is this Del Boy?"
Yeah.
I'm like, Del. it's like he come under my chest, didn't it? Because I'm quite tall, didn't it? That was good. Now, Dabble, we got to do one in person. We all got to meet up in London one day. Every one of us. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. Definitely.
Yeah,
I can't wait
we'll
for
have to
that.
do a day where all of us meet up. Just even meet up after the game. I'll train
Yeah.
it like so we'll do something like that hopefully.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. Like, you know, sure, I met you, Prince. Met at the, I think it was the Leeds. Was the Leeds game or
Leeds
Brighton
game? Yeah, the Leeds game.
Leeds game, yeah. Like, you know, but you seen me, and even I went back. I think it was for another game or two. Like, you know, and they were all there trying to, like, you know, yeah, mate, yeah, you're all right. Yeah, fuck you. I'm fucking getting in here. And, like, no one tells me to sit the fuck down until I'm knocked the fuck down. That's all right. You know what I mean?
He's like Conor McGregor, the Arsenal fan base.
Yeah,
I don't give a damn.
Here, I'm a lover, not a fighter. I don't like fighting or anything like that. Like, you know what I mean? But Jesus, yeah, this is the way it has to go. Like, you know, if you want your opinion across, because it's not about, like, the thing all you hate about AFTV is for the fans. You're not for the fans because they all have their own little celebrities that they get on. You know what I mean? I'm talking to people that are fans. Like, you know what I mean? And that's me. When I do an Arsenal after the Arsenal game and do the fan cams, you know what I mean? Anyone can come on. Anyone. I send the link, I drop the link. Anyone can come on and have their say. You know what I mean? That's the way I am. But anyway, look, lads, thanks a million for coming on. I really do appreciate your time, and I respect every one of you. Respect all your opinions and everything like that. Please do check out Prince Floyd TV. He's on the road to 1K. I'm on the road to minus 1K or fucking something like that. I don't give a bollocks. But anyway, we're on the road to something anyway. But yeah, thanks a million, everyone, for everyone's comments. Really do appreciate it. I'm going to be I'm dropping out a link, and I'm going to do something about the FAI, right? And this thing is going to be big. That's all I'll just say. I'm doing stuff. I'm not even going to tell you, but I'm going to do stuff, and it'll be just a wow. Let's leave it there. Thanks a million, everyone, and I really do appreciate you all. Thanks a million, everyone, for checking it out. Take care.